you go. I'm going to be eating because I'm fucking rude, okay?
I know.
Here, pull that in front of you.
What's up, guys?
All these. There you go. It's working, I think.
What are you eating?
I'm eating sweet green.
Okay, so I just want to say I brought you a pumpkin.
You gotta speak super close into the microphone, by the way.
I brought you a pumpkin. I don't expect you to do anything with it right now. You have a lot of food, but
Why is this green?
it's from a real pumpkin patch that came from off the vine. So I believe that's an heirloom pumpkin.
It smells
I just
pretty
bought it
good.
the other day. So that's my
Did you
Halloween
not-
offering to you.
Did you not see the pumpkins that I carved outside in my door?
No, I missed those.
Wow,
What'd you carve?
Not a good start to how you're supposed to be the Mr. Spooky. Okay, you're supposed to be the.
I mean, it would be really spooky if I knew what was outside of your house in advance.
That would be spooky,
But,
100%.
I mean, you kind of like ran out, grabbed me, and I just sprinted in.
yeah, sorry, I was still live, you know.
It's impressive to watch you work. I also have over there the first Otherworld hoodie of all time.
Oh wow!
You get to have it.
Wow!
Yeah,
Okay,
before
yeah.
I even got one.
Get fucking wrecked,
I know,
Brace.
right?
Get absolutely cumstered, Brace Belden.
Mhm.
He's CIA. I can't believe you went on the CIA podcast.
Is that a theory now?
That's all. I mean, who doesn't?
Brace is an asset.
Everyone is. Everyone.
It was fun.
always-
I spooky pilled them.
Okay,
I wish I
so
could say orange pilled, but I guess like I was saying orange pilled to
orange pilled is
but I
there's
guess
a
it's
different
Bitcoin,
reason.
right?
No, orange pilled is when you're like really into like European social democrats and
Really?
you believe in like adequate public transit. It's not like the worst. Orange pilled is
Is
not
that even
just
like
bikes.
a pill to just want bike lanes or whatever? I feel like that's more natural. I don't know if you need a pill.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I guess it's also for Bitcoin too. I did not know that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Jack Wagner.
How's it going, guys?
No
Hasan,
relation to the Wagner group or Wagner, the musician.
Thank you so much for having me on. Are you ready to talk ghosts and ghouls?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what's going on first and foremost. You have a podcast, yeah, but still.
I haven't even really talked to you about this, have I?
Well, you just
Not
kind of said
formally.
you have a new podcast.
Do you know anything about it? Should I give you the pitch, the full?
Well, I do.
explanation?
I do know.
Enough,
You're
enough.
You interview people that have had like these life changing, spooky experiences, right?
Yeah, the backstory is I started doing this for Yeah, But Still. I normally host a comedy podcast called Yeah, But Still.
Yeah.
And like the first year, we've been doing it for 5 years. Brandon Wardell is the co-host, or I'm the co-host. We're both co-hosts. But I went rogue one Halloween, and I wanted to get a ghost story. I knew at least one person that had a funny ghost story to tell. So I was like, if I get one more, I'll do like a Patreon episode. And I did a tweet or something, and we were pretty small back then. So I did a tweet asking if anybody had one, and I got so many submissions, dude. And they were crazy. And I started to talk to these people, and it was like immediately not funny. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to get like silly stories because I didn't really think about it, but it was instantly like I'll be talking to, there are listeners too, and there would be a lot of like intense stories that you could tell they affected people, and I've been doing it ever since. It got to the point where I definitely like needed to do my own show, or it needed to be something separate because like
How many of them do you think were poisoned by carbon monoxide?
zero. I mean, I don't put anything out there that I don't believe, and I grill people pretty hard. Hard.
So what's your assessment then? Like these people have had like genuine life altering, real
Dude,
interactions with
like,
gin.
I've gotten the gin. I mean, the gin. I thought that was like just. I don't really know what's going on with him, but that was more of one. You're referring to this one where somebody wrote me an email that said they got jerked off by a gin, and it was.
I was
like,
just talking. I know about that too, but I was literally just talking about, like as a Turkish person, I was talking about the gin. Like that's
so
a
you're.
thing.
Oh yeah, so you know about the gin.
Yeah, gin. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're okay. Not many people know about gin. you as a Turkish person would.
I was definitely a little bit afraid of it when I was growing up. I'll admit.
Yeah. So
I'm brave enough to say it.
Jinns are like, I mean, you probably know better than me, dude. I've only know about this from people I've interviewed, but I only knew when I first learned about a jinn, it was because a couple years ago somebody wrote me saying like they had a crazy story with their brother, and then they retracted it before the interview. They like sent me, they're very lighthearted at first, and then they sent me a cold email like, "Hey, I'm sorry I can't speak about this anymore. I really apologize. Like some things came up. Goodbye." It was like the only time somebody reacted that way, aside from there was one time a person hit me up about like a Native American reservation. He said he dug something up weird, and then he was like, "Hey, I spoke to the elders. We can't talk about this. I'm sorry. Goodbye." And he's never responded to me again. But the jinn was like the only thing that's happened a couple times with jinn stuff. So that's how I knew about it. Like people are really afraid of it. And then somebody hit me up saying he got jerked off by a jinn. And like, I mean, dude, it's like, yeah, but still, we joke around all the time. So I figured it was one of our listeners fucking with me. So I was like, next, like, ignore the email, moved on.
What did he send you? Like a cum tribute? He was
I
like,
thought,
nah.
I thought it was
like,
just like,
nah,
it
I
was
really
such a low,
did.
it was such a low effort email. It was like, I got sexually assaulted by a jinn. It jerked me off till my penis hurt. Like, it is a true story. That was word for word the email. And then I go to a dinner. So I got invited to some dinner. I forget who invited me, but it was a bunch of media people. Taylor Lorenz was there.
Mm-hmm.
The NPR TikTok guy was there. Like, it was like just a bunch of media people, I was super late, so I sat down and was like, didn't know anybody. And I sat down on the only seat left, and it ended up being next to this dude, Kareem, who I've like seen him online. He's like, I think he's friends with that dude, New York Nico, and he's an actor. But like, I've seen him just on the internet. So I was like, hey, dude, like, what's up, dude? Like, we chatted, and then like 30 minutes into it, goofing around, he turns to me and he's like, hey, by the way, you never responded to my email. And I'm like, what email? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, about the jinn. I'm the guy that got jerked off by the jinn. And we're like at a Mexican
Was he
restaurant.
fucking around?
No, I was like, I started choking on my food, dude. And I'm like,
the jinn came for you.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you're Kareem? And he was like, yes. And then he had a serious look on his face. I'm like, is it a joke? Like, what happened? And he kind of told me about it. We were at this like loud dinner, but he was like telling me like, it was really scary. And I'm like, dude, we should just do the interview. We got to make it happen. So he's a good storyteller. But that one was weird, but that was one where I'm like, I got to do this just because it was like a weird coincidence,
So I'll tell you this much, like, I'm a big scaredy cat. And when you were talking about the marionette guy in the orb to Jack, or not to Jack, to Brace and them on the Truanon episode, yeah. I was alone in my house, and I had just thrown the trash outside, and I had heard some screams, and it's like, I don't know if it's just like, a homeless person or something, or if just like people are fucking around, but I was already like geared up to be very fearful, so I literally had to stop the episode. I paused the podcast. I'm just setting this up so you understand, like, my level of like handling this sort of thing. I'm a huge pussy. Okay? I'm a gigantic pussy. I don't like being afraid. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. I literally could not handle listening to it.
I luckily have I'm curious enough, and like I enjoy good stories enough that it distracts me from being scared ever. But I will say that, and this is going to sound like I'm trying to do a put on to like get people to listen to my show, but I'm not. Last night was the only time I've been scared doing a story. I interviewed this girl for 3 hours, and her story's fucked up. Like, and I talked to her husband. Her husband was too scared to talk at first, but he called me after and like was kind of nervous at first, but then immediately started talking and telling me like more things. But it'll probably be the finale, but it's the only time that I've been really, really scared myself and like had to, I mean, I guess I'll just have to think about it down the line of just being like, well, I don't want to like actually make a scary show. I want to be like, make people curious, but I don't want to like traumatize anybody.
So these people are serious. You believe that they're sincere at least, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it happened to them.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I do, but I don't know what exactly it is yet. The show is called Otherworld. I see the comments.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. While I have you guys, the show's called Otherworld. You should go subscribe to it right now while I have your attention. It's on all the podcast platforms. The logo is like a man jumping through a void. The logo.
Here, yeah, show it.
You could have the sweatshirt.
I'll wear it in a
This is the
second.
very first Otherworld sweatshirt, but the logo
I
looks
love
like
it.
that. But yeah, seriously, go subscribe. And what was I saying?
You were talking about,
dude. I mean,
so you believe in like supernatural shit?
I wouldn't say believe. I wouldn't have said believe before, but now it's like just simply hard not to, dude. Like I know I probably sound
Crazy.
I hope I don't, but last night was pretty wild. Last night, dude, I went straight to a bar.
So I don't believe in it, but
That's good. I don't need people to. That's fine.
no, here's the thing though. But I'm still scared.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like I don't think ghosts are real. I don't think any of that stuff is real. I think there's like a logical explanation for all of it, but that doesn't stop me from being scared. Which is why I tense up when people tell me stories about the supernatural. And I don't know how else to describe. I don't know why. I have this weird duality in my mind.
I think no, that's one duality, and the duality that's like a theme of my show a lot is the opposite, where almost everybody I talk to after they see something, they see like something in their face, like fucked up or just crazy, like something wild, and then immediately they go back to not believing. Like I think I've found that most people intentionally go back to not believing, like because it's just inconvenient to deal with all of those questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think my fear also stems from like I'm just worried that it'll happen to me if I offend, because I'm so superstitious in a weird way, despite being like hyper rational and hyper logical. I'm still like a superstitious person because of my Turkish background, I guess.
Yes.
It's like hard for me to overcome that. So in a weird way, I don't want to like offend if there is a possibility that there's like jinns and shit out there. I'm like, I respect it. I respect it. I don't want to offend you, sirs and madams. Like, please don't haunt me.
That's a good way to look at it, because
please don't jerk me off until I come super hard and my penis hurts.
One of the reasons I made this show is because like I've always been interested in this, but all of the TV shows and shit are like fake. I mean, like, or like behave in a way where they like must think it's fake, because they all go like, all the shows are going into like the most fucked up place in the world and just being like, come out, you fucking pussy, like show yourself, like hit me. It's like doing things where it's like, all right, if you thought this was real, you would not be doing that. Like, you obviously don't think this is real.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Like, that's just, if you think this is like a powerful thing you're messing with, that's like dangerous and disrespectful.
Well, I think they're coming from, maybe they're scared. I feel like I would do that. I would overact.
I'm too scared. But dude, another thing too is I realized like after entering this space, and I've only been in it for a little bit, but even like a lot of podcasts, like all my things I'm putting out, like I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure they're real. Like a person's not lying. I'm realizing that now that like a lot of other paranormal podcasts, even that I like listen to, they're like knowingly putting out stuff that's like fake and like
what, like the Loch Ness Monster? Name some
just
names,
like,
Jack.
just like, well, like it's
call
not
them
like,
out.
I'm not naming names, but like not putting out fake stuff, but like, you know, storytellers is kind of like what I would say, what it would be called, you know, where it's like somebody will come on and tell like a story and it's like almost like an art form or whatever, but it's sort of like a, you know, like the type of shit your uncle tells you where it's like wink, wink, like, haha. It's
My
usually
uncle
like completely made up. But
my uncle tells me to vote for Rick Caruso over Karen Bass.
And you're going to do it?
Very publicly. He has been doing it on Twitter, getting his ass blasted. Shouts out to Uncle Jank.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
he's a Rick guy?
Yeah, he's like, I'm sick and tired of the crime in Los Angeles. Like, someone needs to do something about it. And Karen Bass is like,
I missed this.
Fake progressive. Oh yeah, his ass has been getting eaten in the QRTs for the past 2 days.
Dude, he must love the Grove.
Oh my god!
I mean, look,
the absolute fucking worst place on the planet. I hate the Grove so much with a fucking
the Americana
passion.
though. The Americana at Christmas when the fake snow.
No, I hate all of that shit. I hate like I don't know. I don't like it. Outdoor malls are far preferable to like indoor malls, certainly. But even then, I just ugh.
For the listeners that don't know what this is, in LA, there's like these outdoor malls that are, how would you describe them? Disney-esque.
Yes.
Disney-esque.
But because we have no culture here in Los Angeles other than like fucking tar pits and shit and no robust history, I guess, or everything has been like paved over, we treat those as cultural landmarks. Like they are cultural landmarks.
Yeah, they're way too poppin'. And during Christmas, I don't know if they do it at the Grove, but I know at the Americana, they'll have like snow machines going. So in Los Angeles, it'll be like, 70 degrees out, but it's snowing at night in these outdoor malls. It's very funny. Oh, dude, but what was I was on a little bit of a rant about something. Oh, the fake
Your
stuff.
uncle tells you a fake story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my whole thing is I'm trying to like I'm only interested in it if I think it's real. And like, I'm just trying to find as much as I can.
And even if you don't think, like, you're saying, like, so what's happening in this interview process, like, they're kind of also convincing you that it's real. Like,
I just
the people that you interview, they seem so sincere and they seem so shook up that, like, when you hear what they're telling you, you believe them.
I believe that, like, something happened, clearly, That's why I say is, like, I'm still pretty skeptical, but something is happening, like, something's happening to people. And, like, there are so many submissions that I get. And, dude, I mean, the creepiest thing, and honestly, this is inconvenient now. It's sort of like the one downside of the show having some success is that so many people are hitting me up, like, that I know in real life, saying, like, yo, I've experienced exactly what you were talking about in that last episode. Like, normal people, family, friends, like, people coming out of the woodwork who have, like, these secret experiences.
It's like you won the lottery.
Heavy.
It's like you won the lottery.
I guess, but it's like I've already did an episode about the thing, so it's like sort of not helpful. It's just like I have to. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but it's like it freaks you out. How can it not? But I guess my point is, like, even if everybody's crazy and hallucinating, it's a fucking shitload of people hallucinating in the same way. So it's like we need to figure that out too. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Do you have a personal story?
I lived in not as good as the ones on the show, but I've had like little brushes with it. I'll tell this one because like
leak it.
It's not. Ooh, somebody's dropping the links. Love to see it. Oh, that's your bot.
Yeah,
I think.
It's my mods.
Hell yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I need to. This is an independent show, so I'm like out here trying to grow it. So a big theme of the show, like later on, I'm doing a lot of stuff about like clairvoyance, and I don't know how pilled you guys are, but an interesting hole I'm going to dive down is like some CIA experiments that were going down with like people who, like basically the CIA figuring out like if there are people that could use telepathic abilities to help them, and they're trying to turn it into a weapon of war, which is funny, but sort of exploring that stuff, even just like sort of like advanced intuition, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, one time, the most recent spooky thing that happened to me, and it's like, warning, this is not that spooky. It's like, I haven't had anything serious happen to me, but I used to be an avid runner. Like over COVID, I would run like every single morning. And if you get in the habit of running, it's just so automatic, like nothing, you almost like zone out. Like there's no variables. But this one day, out of nowhere, I like get really, really nauseous in the middle of my run. Like very nauseous. And my first reaction, I was pissed off. Because I thought it was like, I had gotten food poisoning in the, like, a few months before eating a bad taco.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so pissed. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, dude, if I ate some other like bad shrimp, I'm going to be so mad. Like this is the worst shit. Like I'm like out here in the middle of nowhere. Like I'm 4 miles from the house. Like how am I going to get home at 6 a.m? I felt so bad. Heavy nausea. I was like, I don't know. I was pissed off. I'm like, dude, this is going to be a terrible 3 days. And I like, so I am like stopped and I gather myself and I'm like, I guess I just got to fucking walk home somehow. So I start to try to walk home and I'm like one house away from a corner on the street. And it's like 6 a.m. The sun's coming up. I'm the only one there. I turn the corner and like 90 feet away from me, I see an ambulance and I see like a family and they're like crying or something. And out from this house, there are these 2 paramedics carrying out a dead body on this stretcher. And they're like 100 feet from me and I'm still feel like I'm going to throw up. I couldn't see them on my run, but it hit me like probably like 100 feet before I turned the corner. And then I start having this like other moment where I'm like, dude, what the like, I'm like, if this has anything to do with what I'm seeing, like I'll be more upset than if I have food poisoning. I'm like, I'm not fucking making this up. This is dead serious. This happened to me 2 years ago while I was working on Halloween episode. And so I'm like, I was like,
it could have been either like you're saying it could have been your intuition that knew that like someone was dead.
I'm not even done.
Wait, okay.
So I'm like immediately more scared about that. And I'm like, if I like walk away from this and I feel okay, I'm going to be freaked out. And so I like start walking down the street. I still feel terrible. I walk out of eye line of the body and I get like one house away and I like feel it like lift and I'm fine. I ran 3 more miles, completely fine. Never felt like I felt perfect. And
I have goosebumps, but
I was
like even though
like, dude, I was so freaked. I was like, I don't want that to ever happen again.
Okay, so even though like I immediately am thinking like, oh well, it probably happened because like your brain registered something without you noticing while you were running, or it could be Jack in the Box that you had the night before or some shit like that.
It could have been probably.
Like even though I feel like there's probably a logical explanation for it, I'm still scared of it. I don't like it.
There could be. I mean, it really doesn't matter either way because like I immediately didn't want to believe it myself because I like, what am I going to do with that? Like what am I going to do with that if I'm able to like sense the presence of death like 50 feet away from before I see it anyway? It's like not a useful.
People in the chat are saying that there's like there's a presence. I've been a caregiver to dying people and there's an actual pressure and weight in the environment of someone who's dead or dying.
Yeah. No, I mean, and if you talk to paramedics like or people who work in hospitals, they usually say something like that. But I'm telling you, it was like, I couldn't see it. It was around the corner and it was just like a heavy, it almost felt like I just was able to sense the weight of either the death or like the family's sorrow almost. It felt like I was overcome with this horrible feeling, dude. And I just like basically was like, yo, I need to I'm putting that in a mental box and like trying to forget about that forever.
Yeah, I'm actually very scared now. I don't like this. Okay, all right. Well, that's fucking spooky. So what do you think it is?
I mean, I don't want to go that deep because I could get real deep, dude. And I don't know.
Get real deep.
That's the thing. Well, okay. I guess like my theories change though, because like part of me, I don't want to get like way into the deep theories of it, but part of me at a certain point, because I like hear all these stories, like I just like listen to anybody that has a story that seems credible and sounds like a good story, and they're from all different cultures and perspectives, different countries, like different languages, and like the weird thing is you start to notice like a theme. You notice like little themes in it, even like from different countries and people that think it's different stuff. Like sometimes like between these stories, I'm like, that kind of sounds a lot like this other one I heard, or like something that happens a lot. Like I have a couple of stories where water like floods up out of the pipes, and that's just a weird little detail. But anyway, you start to notice this and you're like, maybe there's some sort of like unifying thing to all of this that we'll understand someday and it won't be that crazy. And part of me wonders if it has to do with like our brain being able to perceive things that exist in a different dimension, basically, that we normally can't perceive. Like some animals are able to see in infrared, and like they could just simply see things that we can't, you know?
Like dogs that fucking bark at like random shit.
Yeah.
Or even cats. And you're like, what the fuck are you barking at?
So I think that if maybe that would explain some things. And like, I'm going to get deeper into that with a few like big episodes I have coming up. Talking to this clairvoyant that I've been hanging out with a clairvoyant a lot, dude.
Oh my God.
There's like, I have new people in my life.
That's not good.
I've spent like, I witnessed, bro, it gets weird.
All right, tell me about this clairvoyant.
I like,
what is a clairvoyant, first of all?
well, she doesn't, okay, I should be clear because she doesn't even consider herself a clairvoyant. She doesn't like to call herself anything, but a clairvoyant would be able to like, it, you know, it's kind of like a medium. They can like perceive things, otherworldly things, you know, and like sometimes it's something from the past or future, like they're just getting information from somebody else. But so, dude, I met this girl. I don't want to spoil some episodes. So like these are banger episodes coming up. So
I mean, just leak. No, but like leak pieces of it so
Okay,
people will
these
go
will come
watch
up.
it.
So
You don't want to spoil episodes.
well, these are good ones. So I met this girl.
No,
This
I
was
mean, like,
really early on.
How
in
are
the
you going
pod.
to spoil it? It's a long ass episode. You know,
Yeah, these
people
are
are going to
long.
want to hear more of it.
This is a lot. So I meet this girl through work, and like she knows what I'm doing, and I hear her talking about like a clairvoyant at the end of the meeting, and like they know I'm working on this podcast. This is pretty early on into making it. I'm like, what's like this clairvoyant? And she's talking to the coworker, and she's like, oh yeah, like I see a clairvoyant. Sometimes it's not a big deal. I'm like, and dude, by the way, I've been very skeptical of psychics my whole life. I think they're mostly like con artists, basically. And probably a lot of them are for the most part. And I've done one before, dude. I went to a psychic. They had one at like a birthday party or a graduation party. And I'm like, okay, whenever they ask me a question, I'm going to lie and just like see what they do. So like the first thing they said was, how old are you? And I lied and I said I was like 19 or something. And they basically, the whole reading was them like describing a college student, and I was not in college. They're like, oh, you're so worried about class and like blah, blah, blah. So that's why like I've always been like, yeah, these
That was a bad one. That was a bad one.
Yeah, or a fake one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
so I've never had interest. So, okay. So anyway, this girl's like, I see a clairvoyant sometimes. And the guy in the room with her is
okay,
like,
wait. I got to pause here for a second. I'm pausing my guest in real life. You have a friend that's like, I see a clairvoyant sometimes, like regularly, like a therapist. Like, what would it? Why would she need to see a clairvoyant?
I mean, you're sounding exactly like I sounded in the moment, right? So imagine, if you will, like I just finished like a 3-hour meeting with these people, and they know I work on this show, and I talk about it all the time. So that's when I was like, wait, like you're holding out at me. How do you not mention this? But they get like weirdly cagey, and they're both like, it's a guy and a girl. They're both like, oh, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, okay, like I'm the more curious now, like what's going on? The guy eventually tells me, he's like, well, the clairvoyant actually predicted you meeting you. And I'm like, already like, dude, what the fuck are you talking? I'm like, literally like, are you guys crazy? And I'm like, all right. He's like, I'm like, all right, man. Like, you know, whatever. Like, and he's like, I have an audio recording of it actually. And I'm like, okay. Like, he's like, I'll send it to you later. I'm like, all right. And I like didn't even get time to process that. So I like turned to the girl, and I'm like, what's your story with this clairvoyant? Like, what's the deal? And she's like, well, it's a long story. And I'm like, what's the short version of the story? And she was like, well, my dad had a lot of very weird girlfriends and like wives through his life. She's like, basically like, I have had a crazy childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and I had a really bad stepmom. And like, basically I went to this clairvoyant, and the clairvoyant told me that my dad's going to die soon because this woman's poisoning him. And she was like,
What?
She's like, 3 days later, the police raided his house, and she was trying to kill him. She was poisoning him with benzos and like all this shit. And I was like, I'm like, are you fucking serious? And like, so I was like, we were about to leave. So I'm like, let me walk you to your car. And so like, I started getting this story from her, and I like, it took a couple weeks of convincing her to like talk about it, because it's like a traumatic thing. But
is your friend Michaela Peterson?
No.
You can come out and admit it if that's
No,
we're
no,
talking
no,
about.
no.
The benzo murderer is Michaela Peterson's mother, and the guy who almost died
Dude.
is Jordan Peterson.
So, also the stepmom's like currently on the run from the police. She's like a wanted criminal for doing this.
How does that even like you can do that?
It was in Florida.
Yeah, they're pretty bad out
So,
there.
if
They're
that
pretty
explains-
they're pretty incompetent.
So I talk her into doing an interview, and then it was crazy. It was a 5-hour long interview. It took forever to edit, but obviously I wanted to talk to the clairvoyant too, because I'm like, who is this woman? Like, you know, I want to like get her to confirm some things. And she tells me who she is. Like, it took a long time to like kind of get to this woman, if that makes sense. Like, I tried to talk to the clairvoyant's daughter and be like, hey, like, this is what I'm doing. It took a long time. And
What if she was playing hard to get?
it was just like, I needed to figure out the right approach.
I think a lot of these people are like very perceptive to how humans are and how they behave. I think that in order to be very good, even if it's a con, in order to be very good at like doing con shit like that, a better psychic, for example, that would have immediately noticed that you were lying either from your body language or the way you look, or had done the research prior, and would have been able to call you out on your bullshit, which would have probably changed your perception of the original psychic that you had a bad experience with.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of these people, like, even from a rational perspective, when you look at it, like, they're still...
What are you saying? I can't take this serious.
They're still achieving very impressive feats, is what I'm saying.
All psychics are cons. Dude, I'm pretty much with you. I don't, like, this is not, to be clear, this person's not a psychic that I'm doing a story about. This is literally like a mom who does this for her friends, is who the story's about. This is not like a psychic. And she does not consider herself a psychic. It's going to be a pretty interesting episode, but I ended up actually going to her, and like, it worked out that like the best way for me to actually meet the woman was to go get read myself. So I just I signed up like anonymously to go see her. And
okay, but she's fucking clairvoyant. Like, you can't. She knew you were coming. She must.
Well, yeah, but I wanted to like test it a little bit because, I mean, obviously, like, do my due diligence. But I was like, all right, I'm not gonna like, I'm just gonna sign up anonymously and try to not give any information. And then my plan was like, when she does this reading, like whatever it was, like just to not respond really, like if she was asking like questions, I would try not to like give her anything, if that makes sense. So I go in, like her husband answers the door and is just like very nonchalant, just like sits you down as you meditate. He like teaches you to meditate, and then you kind of like get in this meditative state, and then she comes in and she starts just like, she does a little thing, but then she like starts reading you, and she's like in this like trance almost, and she's hitting it like fast, nailing it, like about things that like, I mean, she immediately figures out what I'm doing. Like, by the way, at this point, like Otherworld's secret, like nobody even knows I'm doing it. And she's like, you host some kind of show, but you have a new show. That's weird. And she's like, you're doing like a weirder new show. And she's like, won't stop talking about it. She's describes like my dad in like crazy specifics. Some other weird shit, but it was just like interesting. Anyway, I was like able to meet her through that. I wasn't even completely sold on that, but
you know
like
who else does this?
Hmm.
Nardwar.
Oh yeah,
the human
exactly.
serviette.
She does not research people. There's no way that she has time to do this. And like, if she researched me, she would have been able to say much more interesting stuff. But anyway, she's just an interesting person. So I have a few episodes on her. But dude, just to remind people, like, my goal of this pod is I'm not trying to like convert anybody to this stuff. You know, like I don't really care if people believe or not. They're like, I'm just interested. Like,
Yeah.
It's fascinating. But I've seen her read other people, and I've had some weird adventures with this woman. She's a very interesting character. She's like Belinda the Good Witch. It's wild. And she sees a lot of people secretly. I've since found out. Some famous people too on the low.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Who's the most famous person?
Of major pop star that I'm not going to name.
I mean, they believe in a lot of crazy shit, to be honest.
I was going to ask, like, how pilled is your
My audience is super skeptical, for sure. I mean, these are all like, listen, we're on Twitch. There's a lot of Reddit
It's not
Andes
Taylor
here.
Swift.
There's a lot of Reddit Andes in here. There's a lot of r/atheism guys in here. There's
Dude,
a lot of
worst.
like logic and reasoning guys in here. I yell at them all the time. But I myself, I myself am very skeptical.
I used to be more
person.
like that. But
I'm a very skeptical person. I'm not a very spiritual person, but I'm still fucking super superstitious and like still kind of worried about it. Like it's the Turkish in me where I'm like, I'm gonna quit. I'm on. You know, I don't want to disrupt the delicate flow. If it's out there, don't fuck with me, okay? I don't want it. Stay away.
You can't write. There's certain things you can't completely write off. It would be silly to if a huge amount of people are experiencing the same thing, even if you don't think it's paranormal, it's like something's still happening. It's worth looking into. I mean,
like Havana syndrome. Like I think that it's not real. I think that it's just like mass hysteria.
Yeah,
shit like that happens all the time.
Imagine if instead of like a few CIA agents, that was like hundreds of thousands of people around the world.
Yeah, but look, here's what I'll tell you. Have you gotten any alien stories?
Yes.
So one thing that I get really frustrated by, right, is whenever motherfuckers in Idaho are like, "Oh, dude, the aliens came to our fucking like corn crops, came for our corn crops or whatever, like that's where they landed." It's like, no, they did it. Like if you're going somewhere, if you're gonna land somewhere and you're like this fucking this being, first of all, I don't believe that aliens could like take physical form that we could comprehend. I think it's like more of an interdimensional thing.
I kind of am with you there recently.
Yeah,
but
like I don't think they're like fucking anatomically similar to humans in any meaningful capacity, but like gray or whatever. I think that's bullshit. I think that's like man being so nearsighted and so selfish and self-entitled that we think that like aliens would resemble us in any meaningful capacity. I think we can't comprehend them even. Like they're not even like colors and shapes, right? So that's number one. Number two, I hate when motherfuckers are like, "Oh no, they came to Idaho." No, they didn't. Even if they were anatomically like similar to humans or whatever, and they had like obviously brain processing capabilities enough to literally like travel through space and time, okay, to get the planet Earth, they're going to New York. They're not
You're
going
being
to
a
Idaho.
coastal elite about the UFOs.
100%.
They're going to Times Square.
No, they're going exactly. No,
they're going to clandestinos.
Here's why. Because like to aliens, we're like ants, right?
Yeah.
Like if they have that level of technology, we're like ants. They didn't accidentally stumble across our planet. They already have like incredible technological capabilities, right? They probably have like civilization destroying weapons like that they could easily use or whatever. But even if they didn't have any of that shit, they would still go towards the form of light where all the light is or where all the human beings are. Like if they have a processing power to figure out like where the living, breathing organisms are, they would go to an area where everyone is at. They wouldn't go to a fucking cornfield in the Midwest because no motherfucker lives there. And if the argument is like, well, they're trying to hide themselves, right? They're trying to hide themselves from like the rest of the population. It's like, well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like they're so powerful. Like you don't want to hide yourself from an ant. You don't give a shit.
Or maybe there's like a reason they're there that we just don't know. Like, I mean,
oh yeah.
Well, no, I mean like they seem to be like, I've heard that they concentrate around like nuclear facilities. Like,
ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that,
I mean,
I'll work
like,
with that.
There could be. I mean, we don't know where. There's probably secret military like nuclear facilities we don't know about. Theoretically, I mean, shouldn't there be? Like, it would be kind of bad if everybody knows where they are. But I mean, that would be interesting. Also, it would be a little comforting because it's like they're probably concerned. Like, they're probably checking in and be like, have they blown themselves up yet?
UFO sightings are likely to be a cultural phenomena. Here's a map of all reported UFO sightings from 1906 to 2014.
That's stupid. Do you think? Look at that. That's just like.
It's just mostly America.
Well, I mean, I think this is more of a question of like what data is being recorded, you know? Do you think in like rural Africa they're like documenting this stuff as well as in like the eastern United States?
I mean,
think,
they
like,
have done it a little bit. They've done it enough, but not enough
to
to
like way more here. But I don't know.
What is this? What's possible with ARCGIS? Learn, how about the mapping of the historic UFO sightings and make an out-of-this-world visualization? Whoa, that's sick. So 1906, I predict that War of the Worlds comes out and UFO sightings go bananas. Okay, are you ready? I predict that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't that crazy. It wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be. Roswell UFO incident really kicks it up a notch. There's also more. Yep, this is a good point. There's a lot more shit flying around too that people will mistake as well.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, like for all of this stuff, like most of it is not actually what people think, you know? Like
Yeah.
most times it's not a ghost. Most times it's not a UFO. I comb through a lot of stuff that isn't before getting something that is. But I mean, do you believe in that there's life outside of
Yeah. Like I just said, I 100%,
Yeah.
100% believe that, like, yes,
there's something.
I wouldn't say like aliens in the way that we understand it, but I do think that of course there are beings that we cannot comprehend. I just don't think that they either A, have the technology to get here, or B, even if they do have the technology to get here, aren't fucking around with us, or C, even if they got here, we would not be able to fucking comprehend it with our basic human minds and our human comprehension in our eyes.
I think it's stupid to think that there's not something out there that we will be discovering that currently seems completely insane and paranormal to us right now. You know, it's happened over and over again through history. Something that just would have sounded made up, completely science fiction. It's bound to happen. And I think like a lot of this stuff like wouldn't be that, if we figured it out, it wouldn't be that crazy. It might open up way more questions depending on what it is, but I'm interested in it. So I think like that's like the only type of person that kind of gets on my nerves is the ones that like completely shut it out like 100%. Also because it's just like, dude, who cares? Like,
no, I think
let me
completely
think about UFOs. Who cares?
No, I think completely shutting it out is again like the limit to the processing power of the human brain, where they're like, it's selfish. You want to be the only living, breathing life on the planet. You want to be the most important, special thing. We have that in our hearts as human beings. We all want to be the most significant thing in the entire universe. That's where it comes from.
I think this is fun. It is funny. I just had like a little bit of an out of body moment where I'm like, damn, like I've kind of evolved. Like here I am on your stream, like fully pilled talking about this stuff. And I've never been like that before, but I guess this is my new life now.
Yeah, you're now
I'm a little too deep in it, but it's fun. And also you should just see the stuff that's like I'm inundated with every single day now that I've like started doing the show.
Okay, well, I mean, don't lose yourself in the sauce. We don't want you.
No, I'm not in the sauce. You got to keep a level head with this because it's like, dude, there's so much nonsense
spooky
out
pill.
there.
You're spooky pill. You're not.
No, but there's so much nonsense out there. A lot of shit I do not believe. Like
okay, what are some things that you don't believe? Let's hear it.
I'm kind of like, I don't think like
Loch Ness Monster.
the Skinwalker Ranch stuff. I'm not.
Okay, what is
That's
that?
a really popular thing but I will say
What's
that like,
Skinwalker.
dude, it's this ranch. Sorry, I keep kicking your trash can.
Yeah.
There's a ranch in Utah that has, I mean, it's really cool. Like the lore of it. It's like basically supposed to be like the most evil place, like a mix between like Native American spirits, like wild UFO activity, cattle decapitations, like mutilation. Like there's some books about it where it was basically the guy who originally took care of the land had like so many experiences, and then this billionaire bought it, and now this billionaire bought it like to research it. He's like a spooky pilled billionaire, and he has all these guys out there in like trench coats. They have a TV show, and they like have it like wired up, hidden cameras everywhere. I've been hit up, like, so I can't like really like say who this is, but somebody I know, their dad just got to go there. Their dad's like famous, and they invited him to come.
Famous for what? Like,
I can't say.
Famous for
like not
no, but famous for related. Like, is he like a cryptozoologist or something?
Music.
Okay,
He's a
never
famous
mind.
Musician.
Okay, yeah.
And they hit him up to go because they're like, well, I didn't know why they hit him up, but we were kind of laughing after because they're like using his music to talk. I don't know. This is kind of I don't think I'm supposed to be telling anybody about this,
So
but
here's Homestead too. I'm gonna walk around.
it's funny just because I was like, bro, I think they're just fans of your
there
dad,
are
bro. Like, I
lots
think they just
Yeah.
wanted to have them out there. Like, there's no reason.
stories
But
about this.
They have a
particular
show and like,
place.
dude, basically it's like
So let's go ahead and
there's
go
so
in.
much stuff that they claim to have happened, and unfortunately, the only source for the only witness is like the original guy who like ran the farm. And now there's these new guys running it, and like if they find some evidence, that would be really sick. But as far as I know, like I think they might have had some like spooky moments on the show, but I don't know.
Wait, so when I just I literally worked on the Skinwalker Ranch show and we made shit up. It's completely faked, exaggerated, or embellished.
Bro, there's so much of that's funny. I kind of want to take a picture of that actually.
What, him saying that?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, so you don't believe this anyway? You think
Well,
that
I
it's
just
like
don't think, like,
exaggerated?
Their show, and like I read the book. There's a book by this dude Colm Kelleher. So like there's a few people who have had control of this ranch, but at some point a different group owned it that was like trying to do real paranormal scientific research. Supposedly they went there for a month or something and like did all this research in like the 80s or something like that. I forget when. There's a book from this scientist who is supposedly a skeptic and like all the things he witnessed, and throughout the book they're talking about like all the cameras they bought, all the audio equipment or stuff. And like, I'm reading this book and there's no pictures. And I'm like, bro, where's the pictures of
Yeah,
cows?
let's see
Where's
some
like,
fucking shit. Yeah.
I'm like Googling like to find a single picture from these guys that were there. I'm like, you went there to get data and take pictures. You didn't take like literally.
Why didn't they do that?
Give me a picture of you on the farm. I don't know. I mean, if there's somebody in the chat who's seen it, like I tried looking, I'm like, I couldn't find it. So that's like when I was like, all right, this seems fake. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
you know, like you would think, and I know that like, you know, I don't think like a photograph is necessary to prove things or whatever. Some things like you can't take a picture of.
Okay, you want to look through this a little bit?
You could give them a taste.
I mean, this shit's creepy as
It's
fuck
definitely
already.
creepy.
I
It's
don't
a
like
creepy
this.
ranch.
Why'd they go at night? I don't like that.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying. It's like I don't even want to look at it because it's like, why would you go at night?
I heard a thump over here.
Oh, this guy's creepy as hell. What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't mean to put him on blast, but like that's an example. I'm just trying to say that like I don't believe in everything. And like honestly, dude, a lot of the podcasts that I've always been interested in this stuff, but like everything I listen to, it's like somebody either like reading a Wikipedia page verbatim in a spooky voice or like
Yeah, creepypastas. I mean, they
or
pop
telling
off.
stories that like
They pop off though, like for
they
sure.
pop off, but like telling stories that just like are completely unbelievable. Or putting stuff out there where it's just like clearly a mentally ill person, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, you guys.
Ghost at 40? Wait,
This is
what?
Creepy.
What
Did you hear
ghost?
that?
I feel like he
Right
did
here.
that.
So
You went-
over
Did you hear
there, I
that?
heard a thump,
That's all of these shows are like that, dude.
and I just heard it again.
What?
I swear to God, I keep hearing it. What?
Is this a skinwalker, right?
Michael Hudson says, when I lived in Guam, I saw a humanoid creature after sunfall with glowing eyes. And the next day told our Chamorro neighbor, and she said those spirits are called Tao Tao Monas. I was a kid, but it fucked with me.
Whoa.
M. Hud.
Michael lived in Guam?
I don't know if he's making it up or not,
Or
but
that might be creepypasta? I don't know.
M. Hud.
Be serious, that's really cool.
Yeah, he said yeah for 2 years.
Shout out Michael Hudson. I believe him.
Yeah, I believe him too.
And the other Hudson, Andrew, is a nurse, and I think might have some spooky stories.
He draws a bunch of spooky shit.
Yeah.
So
Nurses have all seen weird stuff.
probably in the chat too.
Nurses have all experienced crazy stuff. That's like a dream episode of mine is to talk to like as many nurses as I can, and then kind of like, you know, do like hundreds of interviews and then just see if there's any pattern, you know.
FYI, this guy's a right-winger New York Post reporter who's hell-bent on making UFO stuff look ridiculous. I just want to say he's biased. See, you got some people in here that are like UFO truthers and shit.
Oh, are you talking about the Skinwalker guy?
This guy.
Oh.
UFOs, poltergeists, and all kinds of monsters. But no evidence to support any of this has ever been presented. In 2016, Bigelow sold the ranch to another real estate millionaire with a
This guy's
passion for the paranormal.
Objectively
Brandon Fugel.
objectively sick, these guys. They seem to fly helicopters a lot, like whether or not it's necessary. They're definitely showing the money. It's funny.
So like this guy believes it is what you're saying. This is a passion project.
I think so,
for him.
but it's like, here's the thing, and this is the kind of conundrum with like all of this stuff for me is like, if you believe Skinwalker Ranch, it's supposed to be not only like the most evil place in the world where like Native Americans would never step foot on it because it's cursed lands. It's also this UFO hotbed and home to possible skinwalkers, which
What the
are
fuck is a
it's
skinwalker?
shape-shifting Native American spirit, like an evil spirit that could shapeshift and take the form of many things, anything that it has like the fur of, essentially. And there's stories from like people seeing skinwalkers like run alongside a car, keeping pace at like 45 miles per hour. Like this is the stories of those are not limited to that ranch, but all of that to say, like, if you believe this stuff, this would be like the last place you would want to go. You'd think, right? It's terrifying. So
you got to stop saying the name. Wait, what? Do you invoke them?
yeah, I'm sorry for saying it. Like,
What
and
the
I think
fuck?
it is actually like disrespectful if you're. I mean, it might be a little superstitious. I don't know the full history, but yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think Native people might avoid saying the word in general.
Okay.
Like, don't even talk about it.
Okay, that's like me and Jin, which I said again, but
Mhm.
dude, this is not good, man. At night, I'm just gonna fucking hear any noise I hear now. Any noise I hear now is automatic. I'm thinking ghosts.
Don't be. I mean, you shouldn't have to be
I
afraid.
feel like the brain. If someone calls your name, don't answer. What the fuck? Stop. Okay, listen. I'm in spook mode. Okay, I am fully spook pilled now because here's the thing. I feel like our brains are incredibly powerful, right? I mean, after all, look at the dreams. Look at like sleep paralysis, stuff like that. So we do have the capacity to fucking see things, right? And I do sometimes think like when you're fully spooky pilled, you're kind of allowing your brain to unlock a part of it that is like hallucination, is hallucinating these incredibly powerful visual images that I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I'm bringing it on myself.
It's interesting to learn about either way. I mean, and worth exploring, and especially with like Native cultures. That's another thing when I'm like, when you see that map, and I know that was just with UFOs, but like in many cultures, this stuff there's not paranormal. There's not like a word. It's just like a thing. Like it's a known thing. It's not like, it's not paranormal to them. There are, in many other cultures, spirits are just normal. It's not paranormal. So I don't think there'd be like sightings kept track for this, every culture is different. And I think there's just a lot to be learned, and it's even worth exploring. If you're just interested from a perspective of learning about different cultures.
This guy looks creepy.
He's the man. He definitely has some like fedora. There are fedoras at
Fugel.
Skinwalker Ranch, and I don't mean that in a
Fugel
mean way.
claims to
I
finally
think I
have
just
the
saw one right
goods.
there, honestly.
Proof. Evidence. He produces a reality TV show on the History Channel called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. It claims to show.
I mean, there's no
There's some-
fucking way they're making enough money off that show to justify flying helicopters.
I forget. He's a billionaire. Maybe we should look up how he got his money.
Brandon Fugel. He is not frugal.
Dude, shout out to being a millionaire named Brandon.
Yeah. Let's go,
I
Brandon.
feel like that's not like. I think of that as like a young person's name. Let's see. Co-owner.
Like, how did he make his money? He's an American business leader and investor who's been recognized by EY Entrepreneur of the Year. Fugel is a co-owner of Utah-based real estate firm Colliers International and is known for owning Skinwalker Ranch. Oh, he's like I bet he's like a Mormon fucking,
There's no way he's Mormon, I think.
Oh, he's only worth $500 million, broke boy? Oh shit.
estimated. Wait, I thought he was a billionaire. Maybe
Yeah.
he spent it all on Skinwalker.
Yeah, broke boy dude.
Wait,
What
Texas
the fuck?
Growth Fund. No, he's way too goth to be a Mormon.
Fugel began his career working as a senior vice president of Utah Realty Group in 1994. He also worked as the chairman of Coldwell Banker Commercial. What are you looking at?
I was just burping off mic, but then I was kind of trying to read.
In 2016, he co-founded the Texas Growth Fund, IIC. 4 years later, he joined Zenergy IRC LLC as a strategic advisor.
I don't know what any of this means.
He has a massive fortune. I don't know either.
Damn.
Dan and Jill Fugel.
I feel bad. Like, I'm not trying to pick on Skinwalker Ranch because I do think it would be cool to go hang out there one time if I am crazy enough to do it.
Yeah,
But
don't
I want to learn more, but like, I just based on everything I know, I have no reason to believe this. It would be great.
What do you think about the UFO disclaimers? Or like, well, they changed it now, right? What is it, UAP?
UAP, yeah.
Yeah. What do you
That was
think about the UAP? Yeah. Why did they do that? Why did the government change the name from a UFO to UAP while also simultaneously like doing the biggest data leak,
I know,
dump
it's like,
of UFO
that's when you're
shit?
really pilled. Is you're like, wait, why are they letting us know now?
Yeah. Maybe
But-
does that make you feel like it's fake?
I don't know, but I will say, like, once you start, like, now that I'm doing this, like, I also get told, like, stuff that I can't really, like, talk about on the show or repeat on here or anything, but, like, I'll hear, like, whisperings from, like, you know, relatives of
Oh,
people.
like
where it's
Alex Jones style. You know, I know someone who's a Navy helicopter pilot.
But
It was-
higher up than that, I've heard some stuff that's, like, pretty credible from, like, people high up in the government that, like, they're like, yeah, my grandpa was taken to a place and shown things.
I feel like no, because I feel like if that's the case,
I'll
like
tell you who it is off stream.
there are too many moving parts to keep that a secret. Like even something as powerful as the American government is not going to be able to fucking maintain that as basically a secret. What are you going to show? Are you going to show me?
I'll show you who it is, but you cannot say it.
Okay. Cause like there are a lot of instances of like the government doing fuck shit like MK Ultra, you know, documented things that certainly are weird, crazy, whatever, right? That's crazy. Okay, that actually, whoa. What the fuck?
And it came like, that was not like a telephone game.
That is straight from the mouth? Straight from the source?
Yep.
That's pretty wild. Okay, never mind.
I know. I go all over the place.
I mean, I don't know. I still don't know. Maybe they were fucking around like with their
Bro,
grand.
wait, you want to see some real weird shit? Actually,
What?
I can show you some weird shit. Like, would it be easier if I need to give you a link?
Okay,
What's the
just
best way to do it?
Twitter DMs, and then I can
Okay,
just
I'll
like
Twitter DM.
immediately pull it up.
So I have to. I'll shut up my friend Ty, who sent me this stuff. Oh, bro, I have some. The funny thing about doing this pod is now I have like all these funny characters in my life that I talk to.
I'm not gonna leak.
I have this like Harvard guy that I've got this like Harvard physicist that like is down to help me out, where he just explains things to me that I'm too dumb to understand. He like,
Wait, you
I'm
have a
making-
Harvard guy that is
Yeah.
also
'Cause
into
I
this
had-
stuff?
Well, I have an episode where it was like, I have a really weird episode that this couple, they don't even know if it's paranormal, but they had this weird thing happen to them. They're like, we were moving out of our cabin. We had like some wine together. We drank them out of mason jars, went to bed, like, cheers, like, we're going to miss the cabin or whatever. And they woke up and the glasses, like, just the bottom of the wine glass was left. And there were no shards of glass anywhere. It got turned to dust. These glasses got turned to dust, and they found the dust in, like, these piles around the windows, like, on the windowsills. And the windowsills were higher than the glass. Like, everything about it, dude, they found one in the bathroom, a little pile in the bathroom that was around, like, 2 corners. And they're like, we don't know if this is paranormal. We don't know like what it was. And I was just like asking a million questions. Like, what was the weather? Like, was other glass like destroyed in the house? Like, they're like, no, 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 no. I was literally stumped. And I'm like, I feel like there might be a crazy scientific explanation for it. Like, I should let somebody try to solve it. So I sent it to University of Texas, and I sent it to this guy at Harvard. And University of Texas dude, I think, has some theories, but he's like, I don't know, it's a stretch. Like, we'll have to see. So I might be linking them up to ask them some questions, but we'll see. It's not like a very spooky thing. It was just like, these people weren't even scared. They're just like, we have no idea what happened. This is weird. So there are some things, if I think there's a scientific explanation, I will try to do that, you know? But anyway, you want to get into some weird stuff? Let me find these links for you.
Okay.
I was going to talk about this on TrueAnon, but didn't get around to it. So basically, like, my friend Ty showed me these. The Navy has these patents on some stuff that are just like, it's just really weird. Like,
Someone said if the Harvard professor is Avi Loeb, he's not credible.
no. Oh yeah, Twitter DM. And I don't even know what this is, but like, basically you could go down a little bit of a rabbit hole of like these patents that the Navy holds for technology that's like almost like UFO
Watch
technology.
your phone screen. Just showing.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's the real demon right there.
What happens?
Okay, so
why
this
don't
is
you do that? Like, what happens if they see your phone screen?
Oh, I don't know. They could just like you could be leaking shit without realizing.
Oh, okay. It's just like my own wallpaper is a picture of my own penis.
Oh,
It embarrasses myself.
oh shit. Well, that would I would get banned if that was the case.
Oh, that too. Okay.
Okay,
wait,
so what is this? Craft using an inertial mass reduction device. A craft using an inertial mass reduction device comprised of an inner resonant cavity wall, an outer resonant cavity, and microwave emitters. The electricity, what is it? The electrically charged outer resonant cavity wall and the electrically insulated inner resonant cavity wall form a resonant cavity. So, like, what is this?
I'm too dumb to understand it, but it's basically like, is there somebody?
It's a patent for a spaceship, is what you're saying.
I mean, it's like, to be honest with you, I haven't even like had time to fully dive into this.
Okay,
But
so
I thought it would be fun to look at it together.
So there is, well, this is the best place to look at it because there's 32,700 people in here, and there are actual engineers, astrophysicists, and shit like that in this chat.
That's why I thought it'd be fun. I have not had time to look at this. By the way, hosting this show now, people just send me crazy shit, and I'll be like, just busy trying to get through my day, and I'll be hit with like the wildest information where I'm like, all right, like I have to just fucking compartmentalize that.
So my first question when I hear something like this is it normal for the American government or for anyone in general to like hold on to patents for things that have not been created yet? Like things that they haven't actually, things that they think they could create in the future that they're working on.
Possibly. But
So that's number one. Number two, how easy it is to maintain or take a patent like this. If it's super easy, then like why wouldn't they do it? Number three is like, you know, I like, does this have to be something that's real? I guess.
I don't know. Well, and I don't even know if it would be real, but it's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you a couple more links. There was an article about it, I think.
This is recent UFO NASA. Oh, NASA has announced in October 21st. Wow, this is fucking literally, bro, look at this. This is 6 days ago. NASA announces unidentified aerial phenomena study team members.
Wow.
So they're actually putting like actual NASA scientists to investigate UAPs now.
My friend got these from like an article. There are some other patents. I'm trying to find them, like where I had the links. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't come prepared with this, but I sent you another article.
That's literally
I
my
think.
dad's NASA team, Lamau. Your dad is looking at UAPs at NASA? What the fuck?
But you could kind of dive into the patents that U.S. Navy has. Like the internal mass reduction device is pretty wild. Like that's close to like what a lot of people think these crafts would be powered by.
But this
It's like-
it's impossible for this to exist
We have
with our current understanding
no, I
of
don't think
technology.
somebody smarter than me in the comments probably knows, but like I don't think we're anywhere close to being able to like
Yeah.
reduce mass of an object.
This person violates the first law of thermodynamics. It's fake as fuck.
I mean, the Navy has the patent, so I don't.
I'm very well versed on space propulsion. This doesn't work. Don't ignore. This is an internal ass reduction device. You put it on your butt to float. Okay, shut the fuck up.
Okay, I'm with that. I mean, like, I don't like fake. I don't think that word is even useful in the situation, right? Like, this is a real patent from the Navy. It's from the patent office. It's a real patent.
One of the things I've heard very commonly from a lot of other people as well, and it kind of goes along with what I believe too, is that like they release the UAP stuff because the military is like always experimenting with new technology that they don't want to reveal.
Yeah.
So that if people accidentally end up seeing something that's like super weird, they could just be like, oh, it's a UFO. It's a UAP, actually. Oh, yeah, it must be aliens. Like they would rather protect
that could be real too.
They would rather protect IP that they are working on and testing, and as a matter of national security, and make people believe in aliens than fucking reveal that they're working on shit. Is what.
That being said, based on like the stuff that people have
Today's
been seeing
video
lately,
is brought
it would
to
be
you by-
wild what they would have. I mean,
Okay, this is a scientist that discovered anti-gravity, then disappeared completely.
listening as
What?
well includes how a wide variety of grifters get involved in it. There appears to at least be some seed of truth to some of the claims of UAP, UFOs, and anti-gravity manipulative tech.
Oh.
In particular,
Boom! Wait, this is the guy? That's the guy, bro? The guy that did the
I
patent?
don't know. See, I'm telling you, I haven't even had time to dive into this yet.
Bro, we're diving into it right now, Jack. Buckle the fuck up, okay?
Let's
Inventor, Salvatore Caesar Pace. And he worked for the U.S. Department of Navy. It says worldwide application is a patent. And it was filed in 2016.
So even if he was crazy, it's weird that the Navy's getting the patent on it.
Bro, I'm not
What's
trying to
his story?
when it
disappear.
comes to government-funded research. And as a bit of a disclaimer, because I know this subject matter draws out an absolute array of opinions, just know my goal here isn't to change your beliefs, but more
Jack's getting ready to buckle up. He just ripped his fucking...
Popping the
He
top.
ripped his fucking pump cover
I
off.
actually ripped it off in half. Yeah.
Yeah, he's excited.
more so just tell you what I found and entertain you. So let's get into it. As we are going to discuss the disappearance of one particular scientist by the name of Dr. Ning Li.
Wait, when's the last time Barely Sociable posted? Did they post this video and disappear too? No. Okay, 1 year ago they posted this and then okay, never mind.
By the way, shout out to my editor, Theo Schaefer, is texting me right now saying, bro, you better say my name on the stream. So shout out to Theo. He's helped me a lot.
Now, this
on the
story
show.
obviously begins with one particular physicist by the name of Dr. Ning Li, who was working at the Center for Space Plasma and Aeronomic Research and the University of Alabama Huntsville in the 1990s. Ning Li's main claim to fame here seemed to come from a variety of her peer-reviewed papers that she published during this time, in which a theory of hers predicted a practical way to create an anti-gravity effect.
I think the theory already hold there, they published through the review process. Then that's very controversial. I know a lot of people criticize it, but fortunately nobody found any mistake in my papers. So just about no mistake, but people don't believe it. I know until I got an experimental result I can show people.
And before I try to explain any of her research,
Listen, you can
It's
reduce...
a woman?
Yeah. Oh, you don't believe it now? Not credible. Jack.
No, shout out.
Yeah, no.
Women
the real,
in STEM.
The real
Women in
real
STEM.
mystery. The real mystery is how she got there. Oh, no. The real mystery is avoiding the top of the hour ad break. At the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. It's coming right now. I forgot to run it at 4 because I got really deeply invested
sign.
into these stories. If you no longer want to see those ads, you don't need a saucer or a Navy patent. All you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account or by getting gifted a sub. If you're lucky, here's a woman ad break now. Boom. Has your guest been to space? No, dude.
I want to make clear that when I'm referring to anti-gravity, I'm essentially referring to gravity manipulation,
sick.
as gravity is a fundamental force of nature. And in regards to Ning Li's research, the core idea included in her papers seemed to stem from one core concept, that being things called superconductors, which are essentially a substance that can conduct electricity with no resistance, meaning that no energy is lost from point A to point B. Now, generally the state of superconductivity is achieved when a substance cools to a particular critical temperature, and generally one of the cooler side effects, no pun intended, for achieving this critical temperature is the expulsion of the substance's magnetic field, and that's what you're witnessing right now. Now, this is obviously one example from a broad, sweeping concept that could be applied to the future of superconductors. And as you can
Wait, why'd you say superconductors are 100% fake? Is it? Dude, what the fuck? 157 shadows rated as segue, average of 4.71 out of 10. Good attempt, Hossie. Wide people said, what the fuck? Chat, stop rating me so low, dude. What is this shit?
Wait, what does that mean?
So, as a contractual obligation by Amazon, I run ads on my stream.
Okay.
Okay, and I run 1 minute of ads per hour. So I usually have gamified it. I asked my stream, I was like, should we make this like, should I just auto run these ads and then like it just, you know, you just boom, get hit in the face with an ad? Or should I gamify it and like I bake it into my commentary so that like it's more fun, and then I like kind of pause the comment, I pause it too so like people don't miss out on the stream. And they decided it's better to just like stop and, you know, do a segue, do what we call a debate. So then someone built a bot that tallies what people's ratings are, if my segue was good or not.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they're reviewing the segue.
But it's just yet another example that democracy doesn't work, because everybody always like fucks over the... Even Nim has more ad density than you. Yeah, my ad density is going to fucking go up a lot too. Don't worry.
Dude, I just got a funny text update that Chelsea, my fiance, said that like my mother-in-law just texted her saying that like I tried listening to the recent episode of Jack's podcast and turned it off. It was too scary. And she's telling her other family members not to listen to my podcast.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Wait, but this is like a concern. I mean... Dude, this thing I recorded last night is fucked up. Like, I'm kind of curious. I have all these people at the disposal now. Like, is really scary like good, or will that be like bad for the show ultimately?
I don't know.
I want this to be mainstream big. But
Last night, my friend Will said something that I consider to be brilliant, where he was like, spicy food is like scary movies. You know, you like ramp yourself up to it. And I love spicy food. I hate scary movies, but I totally get it. Like at first you might not like it. At first you might not appreciate it, but over time, the more you fucking build a tolerance for it, the more you want,
I don't even think the episode she's talking about is scary, even. Like, I think it's spooky and weird. Like, it's the jack-off one. The gin. That's what she turned off.
I mean, it is spooky. I
guess Chelsea is Egyptian, but...
Yeah,
but her mom isn't. So.
Oh, I was going to say, we don't fuck with that shit, but... Okay, let's continue.
Imagine having incredibly efficient electricity would be highly useful for a number of reasons beyond just the gravitomagnetic effect. But on that same note, one of the main problems with superconductors is that you need incredibly cold temperatures to achieve this. This has led to an interest in high-temperature superconductors, which is actually referring to substances that superconduct above negative 196 Celsius. And realistically, for these things to probably...
Yeah, one thing you could do is make the episodes progressively spookier and scarier throughout the entire season, so you're like slowly spooky pilling everybody.
That's what I'm doing. And there's going to be some nice ones coming up. Like there's like some funny ones and a couple really nice ones. I think some of them that I'm most excited about are like sweet. Like, well, there's one of the sweet ones that's like sad too, but it's there's some nice ones. Like there's some cool ones, and there's some that are just like fun. Like I don't know how to explain it, you know.
Okay.
But and then and there's gonna be some crazy ones. But dude, honestly, I think the world is ready for it. Like I think everybody's too wrapped up in like NPR brained neoliberalism, you know? It's like
no, there's definitely a hella right wing audience.
No, I know,
ready for fucking demon time, because they believe that like demons exist in, you know, the murals of 13-year-old girls
like,
and shit.
But like, you know, the left doesn't have that much of an option outside of like Sedona, Arizona, and that's kind of like laughed off of like the, you know, the new age ant. But I think that's like, you know, there needs to be room for that.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
could be
there wasn't like adequate like conspiracy theory left content before TrueAnon, I think. So you fill another void there.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, people that could believe in something or suspend disbelief at least, but you know, why let them have all the fun? Is what I say.
My girlfriend's dad is a pastor, and he has witnessed exorcisms in India. Demons exist. Okay, bro.
Dude.
Anyway, all right, let's continue with this.
Change our day-to-day lives, such as the ever so elusive hoverboard, there's definitely going to be a need for a room temperature superconductor, which has yet to be discovered yet. And while I will note last year the first room temperature superconductor was found, the only problem with it is that it only existed under extreme levels of pressure, making it really unusable for the average person. But all of that being said, where Dr. Ning Li fits into this is her creation and claim that a high-temperature superconducting disk...
Okay, I'm sorry, but the moment that I see like an old-ass website that you're pulling with this font and shit, the credibility is shaken a little bit. I'm a big aesthetics guy when it comes to this sort of stuff because I don't have the science background to comprehend whether this is like possible or not. So I look at the optics a little bit, and the moment I see Comic Sans with this like 3D
That kind
print,
of fire though. Some of the UFO stuff is all like 1999. Like if you go into the Area 51 stuff, you'll find some of the coolest website aesthetics because it's all like 99, you know, early web guys that made like UFO blogs that are still up.
yeah.
It's surprising which ones are like still up. I think these dudes paid like for 30-year contracts for like their web pages, you know?
Yeah, back
how
when
this-
the internet was cheap.
Like the Space Jam site. Remember how that was up for a long time? I think they finally...
Oh, really?
The original Space Jam site, they finally took it down, but at one point, if you went to spacejam.com, I think it was like the original website, but now they have that new movie, so they replaced it. There's like a few that are still up, some funny ones. Wait, so are you
she
believing
was
this?
developing and could essentially
I don't
create a
know.
force field-like effect. The first notable paper here was Effects of Gravitomagnetic Field on Pure Superconductors, and it was published in 1991. A year later, she would publish another paper by the name of Gravitational Effects on the Magnetic Attenuation of Superconductors, and in a subsequent paper just a year later called Gravitoelectric Electric Coupling via Superconductivity was also peer-reviewed and published. Now, I'm not a physics channel, but I will include links to these papers that you can check out for yourself. But to summarize Ning Li's theory...
Yeah, I'm sure there's like physicist people who will check it out.
She essentially noted that rotating
Physics
ions
people.
spinning in a perpendicular field to their spin axis would create an anti-gravity effect if a large number of ions could be aligned in something called a Bose-Einstein condensate, which is essentially an exotic state of matter in which all of the atoms act as one, where she theorized that this alignment may be possible by trapping superconductor ions in a lattice structure in a high-temperature superconducting disk, which in turn led to the development of a 12
I've already tuned out. Like, it just sounds like nerd science shit. And
I
I'm
know.
like, it's probably true. It's on Wikipedia. Seems about right.
That's why I have,
That's as far as my brain can go. I'm like, Bose-Einstein super megaphonic conductorism is like, I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm
that's
like, okay.
that's why I have the Harvard dude, and I'll need to probably get a couple more guys like that, because also like I don't have the patience to, like, I'm not a good researcher, you know. I like doing the interviewing people, firsthand encounters, but I start to zone out, dude. I have ADHD. It's bad.
Me too.
And
I have
the
no
nasty
idea what
kind
the
too.
fuck's going on.
The
Yeah.
kind where you like get sent home for biting kids in elementary school kind.
You bait kids? You had a demon in you, dude.
Maybe it was a demon.
Murat's not a physicist, guys. He's a aerospace and mechanical engineer. He built satellites.
Who?
My brother.
Oh,
I
that's
think you
sick.
met him.
He probably knows some things, dude.
Yeah. Well, I went to the Boeing facility where they like open it up once every like 20 years or something for a civilian population to come and like look at what they're doing. And I yelled at every scientist there. I was like, tell me the truth about flat Earth. I was like fucking around.
I think,
But,
dude. Have you?
I was
ever-
testing them. I was like,
I haven't had the time to look into it, but like, there's a bunch of spooky stuff relating to Jet Propulsion Lab up in Pasadena. Like, there's the NASA, I think it's the Jet Propulsion Lab, but also I think Aleister Crowley was doing a bunch of weird, like, satanic, like, Hollywood
I
beat
do
up
think.
stuff out
Okay,
there in the
so here's the
60s.
thing. I do think that a lot of these fucking scientists are goofy as fuck. Like, I think their brains are warped by looking at numbers too much, and I do think that they believe in a lot of weird ass shit, and can also have like, personal mental health complications. So
I was exaggerating about biting people in elementary school. I didn't bite people.
a couple of years ago, there was a Mexican radio show called La Mano Peluda, where the radio host named Juan Ramos Sanz, who would have people that call in to tell paranormal experience stories. One of the last stories he had on ultimately led to his unusual and sudden death. What?
That's wild.
Jack, you fucking protect yourself,
I'm doing,
dude.
that's another episode I'm doing. I'm gonna take a picture of that to look into it.
Dude, you are such a
full
fucking
Spanish
boomer.
language episode this year.
I love that you're taking photos on your phone on the chat.
It's just the easiest way. I mean, what am I, dude? Do you really want me texting you? Be like, hey, send those screenshots, bro.
No, yeah, there's no shot I'd be able to pull that anyway.
No. No, I'm doing, Mexico has some crazy ghost stories, and I have one from Venezuela this year that's in Spanish. I do not speak Spanish, so I had to have other people help me with that. Palma, a famous poster / of Seeking Derangements. You know that podcast?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's been helping me translate and edit Spanish stuff.
Wait, Jack Parsons, founder of JPL and Thelemite, who knew Aleister Crowley personally and did a sex ritual with L. Ron Hubbard and Marjorie Cameron.
There we go. See, I knew,
What?
I haven't looked into this stuff yet, but that's something that people have told me.
L. Ron Hubbard was like a science fiction writer.
I also heard there's like some weird plaques out there. And you know what's funny is that it's just so pretty in that area. It's like Pasadena. I like to hike over there. It's between Pasadena and like La Cañada Flint Ridge, I think is up there.
What the fuck is this, bro? In the spring of 1946, L. Ron Hubbard and John W. Parsons performed a series of magical rituals with the aim of incarnating the Thelemic goddess Babylon in a human being. Hubbard's cooperation with Parsons, known as the Babylon Working, remains one of the most controversial events in Hubbard's pre-Scientology days. This article sets out to describe the content of the magical rituals as well as their purpose. It is argued that in order to fully understand these events, it is necessary to approach the Babylon Working from the study of Western esotericism in general and the study of Enochian magic in particular. What?
Where is this? Also, it's behind a $35 paywall. What?
Yeah, this is like a fucking, what is this, a Brill Scholarly Journal? What the fuck is that?
What is that?
God, L. Ron Hubbard is so
What is that
fucking
logo?
crazy. Newman?
Doesn't that? It just reminds me of like the Nixium cult. It looks a lot
Yeah,
like the Nixium logo.
or like Dave's Vault guys do shit like that too
But
sometimes.
that's so. Wait, John Parsons founded the Jet Propulsion Lab. NASA Jet Propulsion Lab. Is that who that is?
I'm
not. Like, I don't know anything about this. People come up to me and they be like, "You gotta look into this." Like whatever.
Please have a fucking Thelemite on, please. Lon Milo Duquette is in California. You sound like a goober talking about magic in Babylon and Thelema. Holy shit, please. Wait, what?
What?
What the fuck is a Thelemite, dog? Why are you writing in all caps like I am a goober. This motherfucker said like, you don't know about my Dungeons and Dragon group, you fucking loser. Like basically to me. Wow, what a fucking loser you are, dude. You don't know about the fucking D&D sessions we host?
It's so hard to read the comments. Trying to read the flow. It's like reading the Matrix. You're able to do it though.
Yeah, I mean,
ritual magic. So this is freaky. I've never explored this, but if you ever get the chance to hang out around the places where there's either like any kind of aerospace or remote Air Force base, it's very spooky even in like non-paranormal ways. Like Mojave, California is in the middle of the desert, like the actual town of Mojave. It's where a lot of private space companies are. It's also very near an Air Force base, and then also they bring planes there to like repair them, I believe. There's like almost like a plane graveyard. But I've been up there a couple times for work, and it's also just like kind of a road trip stop that makes sense for camping, but there's very limited businesses there, and it's like all of these like engineers that work there, mostly men. And so you go into like the two places in town you could eat are McDonald's or like this Thai restaurant, and you go in there and everybody has a lanyard. It's always like these like men, these like 45-year-old men eating together. and you know, it's just so spooky. Like all of these guys are working on like weird top secret stuff. And same with Jet Propulsion Lab. When you go around there, you'll like start clocking the guys that work there because they like go by themselves and like drink at these bars after to unwind. But they always have like a lanyard and just kind of like odd dudes. It's hard
Yeah,
to
they're
describe
always
them.
weirdos.
They're, like, always,
I know.
like,
I mean,
weird,
my
like,
brother's a fucking weirdo too.
you could clock them
Also,
like, from a mile away.
Also, this dude looks like my sleep paralysis demon. What the fuck?
Wait, who is that?
Aleister Crowley.
Oh yeah, well he's the founder of Satanism, right?
What the fuck? Yeah, you popped the top off too early, man.
Yeah. Well, he's
Esoterica on YouTube is credible for stuff on Western esotericism. Rick Owens looking motherfucker. Yeah, bro, he's on that Rick.
undeniable drip.
Yeah,
that
for
elven
sure.
drip.
Unspoken Riz too, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, that's freaky. Who else was at that meetup?
I don't know.
Early
The Thelemic
clout shit.
Pantheon, a collection of gods and goddesses who either literally exist or serve as symbolic archetypes and metaphors, includes a number of deities. It's time for another one of these dudes, though. I think the environment is like ripe for that. Because, like, we are going back. I mean, this is like Chapo's take, which I agree with, but like, we do behave like a lot of like upper middle class Americans behave like fucking medieval peasants at this point. So we do need someone to guide that, like the sheep, the flock.
We need another Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh my God. I think we have enough.
Bro, don't go
satanic
down this rabbit
minutes.
hole. You know how the Satanists get in chat? I know. They do get fucking annoying as shit. They can't help themselves.
Some people believe we already have a satanic leader. I'm not naming a name.
What, Joe Brandon?
No, well, maybe. I haven't kept tabs. I haven't kept tabs on what Q is theorizing.
Yeah, that's true. It's insane how motherfuckers want to be on Cardi dick. They dress just like him, copy his flow bar by bar. Most sane r/Cardi user.
It is kind of sad.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's fighting Cardi.
It's fucked up.
Man, that's wild. It's kind of sad.
What,
Dude, that's spooky stuff. I mean, that's kind of like, to be clear, if I'm,
This is a patent that dumbed down so that if anyone has a patent, wouldn't figure it out or get any info from a release to public. So even if you have it, you won't have any idea what it was. So people are trying to figure out probably what.
I don't know.
Bro, you literally did the worst job of explaining this, dude. What the fuck? Okay, let's get back to this fucking
Inch
thing.
prototype that you
So, by the way, someone already destroyed this and said, like, no, this lady actually died, like, last year.
Maybe. I don't
saw
know.
in the picture earlier. And to quote an article from October 1st, 1999, which is done by a publication by the name of Popular Mechanics, the first thing to understand about Lee's device is that it is neither an anti-gravity machine nor a gravitational shield, says Jonathan Campbell, a scientist at the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center who has worked with Lee. It does not modify gravity, rather it produces a gravity-like field that may be either attractive or repulsive. Lee describes her device as a method of generating a never-before-seen force field that acts in a way that is similar to gravity. Since it may be either repulsive or attractive, she calls it a C-gravity. It adds to or counteracts or redirects gravity, explains Larry Smalley, the former chairman of the University of Alabama at Huntsville, UAH Physics Department. And it's also worth noting for her device to work, it would require one other component, that being a rotating motor for the individual ions. As the next section read, although Lee's theory has passed through scientific quality control process called peer review, and a high-temperature superconducting disk has been constructed, important technical unknowns remain. This summer, Lee left UAH. She and several colleagues are striking out on their own to commercialize devices based on her theory and a proprietary high-temperature superconducting disk fabrication technique. Lee's next step is to raise the several $million needed to build the induction motor that individually spins the ions in the high-temperature superconducting disk. It will take at least 2 years to simulate the machine on a computer, says Smalley, who plans to join Lee's as yet unnamed company after he retires from UAH. And it's worth noting in the final statement given by Lee in this article, she states, investors want control over the technology. She says, this is too important. It should belong to all the American people. Now, with all that being said, I'm not a physics channel, and I can't really comment on the paper herself or her experimental results that she claimed to observe in and around this time. But what is worth noting...
I'm already losing my mind imagining this is this is the amount of math that they had to do to figure this shit out.
This is like not worth me even like looking at because I just don't know what any of this means. Also,
the more I stare at these things and the more I try to comprehend what's going on here, the more likely I am to believe every spooky story you tell me. I'm just letting you know.
Well, also, like, to be clear, like my show, I'm not a research show. Like there's a lot of shows out there that like read Wikipedia articles and like just like basically do that on the podcast. I only talk to people who have firsthand encounters. They saw something with their own eyes, and we talk about that. And I'm mostly exploring what they do after that, right? Like after you see something that changes your understanding of the world, like how do you just go back to working at your job and like what do you do with that information, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Are the
what I'm
mysterious
really
events.
doing. I don't
That's
really need to get people to believe or not believe,
Yeah,
you know?
I feel you.
And I'm not like a expert. Disclaimer. But so I only focus on like firsthand encounters.
Okay, this is the other guy, Eugene Pokletno.
But what is rather bizarre about that article we just read was the fact that it was in 1999, and just 2 years prior, a final experiment that she did showed that little to no effect was present at all in her theory, stating this result put new limits on strength and range of the proposed coupling between superconductors and gravity. But despite this fact, sometime after this final paper had been published, she would still continue to leave her position at the college and would leave to start a company called AC Gravity LLC. And the other professor that Ning Li was working alongside, that man by the name of Douglas Torr, would go on to found his own company by the name of Phase Space Time LLC. I should say it's rather bizarre that if you truly believed that this theory was a dead end, then why would you then leave your job and start a company
Not
off
like
that theory
phase
that
up,
supposedly
but
didn't
phase,
work?
like with a
Or
PH.
Or if we take this particular abstract at face value, why would you quit your job to study something that just had severe limits imposed on it? That seems like a risky idea to base your entire career off of. And I must say, one of the common themes that I came across when researching this particular topic is the frequent
Wait, why is he being like skeptical of the researcher's findings when she's not offering like what he wants to be real?
I don't know. Also, this guy's way of speaking is like some people, the way they talk just trigger my brain to shut off. Like my ADD is kicking in
Yeah,
heavy
the way-
when he talks.
Yeah, the way he's describing it is
Like,
it's,
it's, like,
like
immediately,
it's
like-
like almost too pleasant. I don't
Like
know how
I
to describe
go,
it.
or he's maybe putting me in some kind of trance, but it'll be like 10 seconds of me listening to it, and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm out. I'm reading the comments. That's definitely not helping either.
What are we covering next? The guy who got killed for inventing a water-powered car? Yeah, isn't that's a classic one, isn't it? Even I know about that one. The government killed him, brother.
How pilled is the audience is my question.
No, dude, this is I mean, look, this is a big audience, right? So there's always going to be like
How many people we got in here right now?
only around 30,000,
Oh, bro,
30,566.
everybody take out your phone and go subscribe to Otherworld, please.
Well, I mean,
Help
we
me
did that
out.
when there was like 35,000. So don't
Oh,
worry.
hell. Oh, wait, they left? What made them leave? I
Um,
scared them off.
The
I didn't even start talking about gnomes yet, dude.
yeah, the lack
I didn't
of
even start
pill-
talking about. I didn't gnome pill anybody.
They're
Bro,
not pilled enough.
you want to get some real crazy shit,
what, gnomes?
bro? I interviewed these Romanis. I don't know if you guys know about the Romani people, like
Yeah,
the gypsies.
they know.
Like is like what the
Not the
Nah,
proper.
I know, but
He said
you
the
know.
G word. It's time to cancel, Jack.
But historically, people know Romani people to be by that name. So,
Mm-hmm.
but they're actually a race of people that did not know we didn't know the true origin until recently. I think it's
Well,
we
they-
can trace back
is
to
it-
India, actually.
Oh, really? I thought it
Mhm.
was like the Roman like empire.
Well, they were in Europe a lot, but basically it's a nomadic group of people, and like they traveled around, and I think a lot of people think of like a fortune teller or like performers, and I mean there's a lot of stereotypes, and they're very misunderstood. But one thing about them is that they're very spiritual people, and some of the earliest like psychics were Romani. And so I
Mhm.
interviewed these two 5th generation psychics. Like, no matter what you think about it, I've always been fascinated with the Romani people. Just from like the perspective of a fascinating group. I mean, they're like these nomadic people who have never had a home, and like for the most part, like hide. Also, a lot of them were killed in the Holocaust, and that's not talked about that much either. But there were a ton of Romanis killed and,
And there's-
targeted.
And there's still a lot of resentment towards them in Europe, especially. Like they fucking hate Europeans.
oh
hate
yeah, and like
Romani people. Like
huge
they hate them.
stereotype. A lot of Romani people pretend to be Greek. Like they'll just lie like their entire life, but they have very interesting cultures. So anyway, I wanted to interview these people anyway. They hit me up with this story, but secretly I was like, I also think they'll be interesting. And I thought it'd be cool to like talk to them about what it's like being Romani and like dealing with these stereotypes. And also like they mentioned something about like TikTok witches and being annoyed by it. So I thought it'd be funny and like interesting. And it was. They basically run a psychic shop where they like people come in and they just try to help them with whatever they come in with. But they're saying that like a big problem that they deal with now is like all of the TikTok people that like basically like witchcraft or like experimenting with that realm is like it'll be trending on TikTok and like all these people start fucking around with it and then something will happen to them and then they get scared and then they come into their psychic shop and like want help and it's just it annoys them. And also I think these people feel like there's cultural appropriation going on or something. But anyway, they tell me a bunch of crazy stories and I start asking them about what. And you guys, like, for the skeptical people in this crowd, like, just brace yourself because this is about to get a little weird. But
A little weird. Yo, dude, are you kidding me?
Bro.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Like half the chat's already like they're like, okay, but like not really believing in it. If it's gonna
fine.
get wilder than that, okay, let's hear it. I want to hear it though.
Well, and this is wild to me too. So, but you'll be okay. So they tell me all sorts of stuff. Mind you, I start this interview on Zoom during the day, and like by the end of the interview, it's like pitch black. I'm like sitting in the dark where I like realize I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta turn my light on. Like that much time has passed. I'm talking to these people. I'm like, what else comes into your shop? Like people come in with nutty stuff, right? Like, you know, no matter what you believe it in this stuff, like I'm sure there's really interesting people coming in there seeking help. And like I asked them, you know, if anything stood out, and they're like, well, you know, one of the worst is gnomes. And I'm like, no, like I literally start laughing, like, and they're like, and they start laughing too. They're like, people have worshipped gnomes and they come to us. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like a garden gnome? And like, I think this is the funniest thing ever. Like this actually kind of like ended that interview almost because I started getting too distracted and like laughing. But
like Keemstar, like what are we talking?
bro, like literally worshiping like a classic gnome. And I'm laughing because I was like, wait, are gnomes real? Like I thought we made those up. Like, I'm like, is that like, dude, I thought it was just like something you put in your yard or whatever, like that, like worshiping that.
Yeah.
So,
bro,
dude,
there's so
Bro.
much more that you could worship than this thing.
no,
dude.
okay. So like they finally, and this will be an episode eventually, but
These are American gnomes because they have guns.
dude, so it did eventually spook me because they're laughing too. They're like, I know, it's crazy. They're like, but believe it or not, 3 people have like come to us with this. But what they ended up telling me, and it's still so funny to me, but what did kind of like spook me is they're like, I guess there is kind of like a weird tradition of this and like people worshiping like fairies back in the day or things like that. But they're just saying that like basically what they tried to explain to me is that like if you start worshiping something and you're making offerings to something, like it may not be a gnome, but like there might be something that's gonna like be on the other side ready to be worshipped, you know, or pretend to be the gnome essentially. And so they've like had to deal with these people who like started worshiping a gnome and like got really into it to the point where like the gnome is asking them to do horrible things in order to be rewarded. And
Like
then,
what?
like, they told me, and like I'm not saying I believe this or not, it's just what they told me. They told me that the gnome eventually asks for your firstborn son, and they've told me that
What the fuck?
they've seen it happen where the gnome has taken a firstborn son, and they don't know if it was like given. Dude, they've told me, and this will be in a thing, like they've told me like this has happened 3 times with them. And it became like, it's one of those things where it became like, I don't know if this is funny or horrifying or like what. It was like dizzying, but The spooky thing, I think, is like, you know.
No, the spooky thing is what you just said, dog.
Yeah.
Not what? Firstborn?
I know. And I guess they say it starts with like just a little thing, like putting out like
that.
a little snack or something.
Look at that.
Oh, and it's not like a gnome running around. To be clear, like they never said that there was like a gnome like running around. It's like a statue, and then from what I understand, it would be like they would hear the gnome ask for something, be like, that was good. Can I have a cake next time? And then like the person will like bring the gnome a cake, and then the next time it wants a bed, and then the next time it wants a wife, and like eventually the gnome starts giving them stuff, usually money.
Why would you fucking give the gnome anything?
That's a confusing part. Is
Look
like
at this.
why?
Look at this one. Look at this one. Look.
Oh my god, dude! This title: 5 scary gnomes caught on camera.
Don't laugh too hard, bro. Before you know
That's
it, the
so
gnome's
sick.
gonna fucking visit you and be like, "Give me your firstborn."
Those people like they know it's funny. Like they're laughing with me. They're like, I know you think it's funny, but like, and it seems crazy, but like we have to deal with this. But I don't know. But to be clear, like on what they told me is that it's not like a gnome running around. It's like something's talking to them, and I also asked them like, do you think there's that gnomes exist? And they're like, it doesn't really matter. They're basically saying that like if you're putting that out there, they compared it to a 1-900 number, like, you know, those old like party chat lines, like you would like call this number and like talk to like somebody sexy, like a horny person like in your area, and it would like link you with somebody. They're like saying it's like one of those hotlines where like if you're reaching out, like something's gonna pick up, but you don't know what it's gonna be, and it's probably gonna be bad.
This person says the hubris of people who have never experienced paranormal shit is honestly just funny to me. It's easy to be condescending about it when you have had to deal with that kind of fear and confusion firsthand. Epic Reddit atheist shit is just really a coping mechanism. It's easy to dismiss it as schizo shit and believe that stuff wouldn't happen until you experience it, especially when there's others around to corroborate it.
Dude, I agree with that 100%. That's why the Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff like bothers me. But I mean, it's mostly because I've talked to so many people, like so many like quote unquote normal people who have just had like a specific experience in their life that's unexplainable and terrifying. And it's like it affects their life a lot of times. So it's weird to just like completely invalidate it from that position. It's annoying. And usually like useless. It's like, man, like if you don't believe it, like that's fine. Like go do something else. Who cares?
I think if you have a lot of motivation to see shit, you're going to see it. That's what I think. And I don't know if it means it's real or not.
Don't worship gnomes. My number one. That's also Ouija boards is like the number one thing I've heard never to do.
Top 10 scary ghost videos to ruin sleepy time.
Oh my God. Dude, the shit on YouTube is so funny, so fake too. I mean, obviously, but like
nothing paranormal or supernatural
over the reverse lights. So I'm going to show you what the stock reverse lights look like, and then I'm going to uncover.
Okay, I don't even want to look at it. It is going to ruin my sleepy time.
No, dude, that shit pisses me
it's
off
gonna
too.
ruin.
Like,
it's gonna ruin my sleepy time, and I don't want to ruin it.
And that stuff makes me mad too, because it's like when there's so much fake stuff out there. Like most stuff put out there is like fake clickbait. You know, it like for anybody that does experience something, it just makes them feel more crazy. You know, that's like they never talk about it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm just more so afraid that I'm gonna start fucking believing in it, and then I'm gonna be motivated to see it, and like. I've gone for 31 years without like having these scary ghost sightings or anything like that.
Well, don't be scared. There's nothing to worry about.
Bro, what do you mean? Of course I'm fucking worried. Like I'm worried that I'm going to start seeing shit, you know?
It can't hurt you. That's how to not be scared.
That's what you think.
Every expert I've talked to says it can't hurt you. It can only like deceive you into hurting yourself.
Okay. You know, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, I don't
know if I'm telling that to you or the chat or who needs it more, you know?
I definitely need it too. I definitely need it. VFX artists debunk Pentagon UFO videos. Ooh.
What is that dot? It could be anything. This is interesting, but you can immediately tell what's going on.
It could be an alien. I could literally make you that shot in After Effects, and it would look exactly the same.
Bro.
So what are you telling me, Jamie? There's a UFO yesterday?
Yeah. What does the U.S. government know about UFOs?
Newly leaked video allegedly shows one of the U.S. Navy.
I like the Corridor Digital guys, though. I think they're great.
I didn't say any. I'm glad I didn't say anything.
Stealth ships tracking an unknown object in the sky.
There's stuff flying in our airspace. We don't know what it is. We need to find out.
If the whole video though is being like,
ago,
I can
the
make
Pentagon
that.
released
It's like, yeah,
a
of course you
series
can,
of
dude. It's
UFO
like
videos.
80 pixels.
We have footage of things flying. We don't know what they
Yeah,
are.
but doesn't that make it?
It's
Doesn't that make
it's
it
a
way?
100p video.
I know, but like, doesn't that make it less credible almost? Like, it's just fucking. I don't know. What is this? I've walked out of locations with marks all over me. They can hurt you. What? Stop, dude. Fucking chill,
Listen to them
chat.
saying
Jesus
the
Christ.
Pentagon
But I
has alien
mean, but
footage.
scratching and stuff is not.
UFOs is not aliens. UFO stands for unidentified flying object. I'm sure a bunch of people know that, but it's become synonymous with like flying saucers and aliens.
What they did though is they were like,
Let's see what these
stop
guys'
calling them
evidence are.
UFOs. Let's call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. It's totally more accurate because sometimes like what you're filming isn't a physical
Dude, does
object,
anybody in the
and it
chat
could
have
be
a good story?
A trick of light or a shadow.
Maybe, okay,
and,
like, actually
might not
comment
be
if you've
something physical, but
experienced
just
something
the way
yourself.
A sensor
It
or
could even be a
camera
yes.
reacts to light.
Yes, yes.
We wanted to take our
That's a
visual
lot of
effects
yes.
artist eye and apply it to these videos because we spend a
Hasan,
lot
there's
of
a lot of
time
people in here
analyzing
saying they've
footage, analyzing pixels, trying to figure out what makes things look
Can you do
fake.
a poll
A
on
big
here?
part of our time is spent trying to replicate
I'd
what
say
an
there's
image
more yeses.
looks like once it's passed through a lens and a camera.
Okay, they're also
that's
saying
what
never
visual effects
trust the
truly
chat.
are. It's not just going, oh, does something look real? It's no, does this look like the image was captured with a real camera?
Hasan's going to the
I
bathroom.
haven't seen any of these videos. And
I will
it's
say
mostly
that
just
Hasan
'cause
has a
I saw, like,
very
a
nice,
screenshot of one. I'm like, okay,
respectable
same
bathroom.
old thing, you know. Here's a
He
dot,
has the bathroom
you
of
know.
a man, not a boy.
Mass Effect.
I was very impressed. Okay, if you haven't, I'm gonna take this time to tell everybody to go subscribe to Otherworld.
So what does it say?
on
Is it the
your
flying
podcast
triangle
app.
alien?
Also,
well, it seems to grow and
if you
shrink
want to
like
follow
an
the
iris
socials,
is
it's
adjusting or something like that.
at Otherworld
That's what I
Pod.
see. Like, okay, so this guy
Funny enough-
literally held his phone up to his.
Get something else. I had the wrong link in my Twitter for I don't know how long, but at least a couple days. I was doing heavy promotion and linking to some other podcast called Otherworld. It was called like Otherworld Fiction Podcast. And I don't know how long I had the wrong link in my Twitter bio, but like, shout out to anybody who listened to the wrong podcast and were like, I don't even know if it's good. I don't know if it's good or bad, so I don't know what experience, but I imagine it was like probably different than what they expected. And also to the hosts of that podcast, you're welcome if you got some extra listeners. Hasan, is there a way to do a poll? I think that's what we need to do. I asked them. Oh yeah, I love those. Those are all great flavors. I'll do the grape. Thank you.
Yo, don't touch the computer. Wait, why?
What? Smoked hella DMT. I want to do an episode about DMT as well. There's
Have you ever done it?
I haven't. But
all right, what do you want to poll?
People that if
What do you want to
basically
poll?
if people have experienced something firsthand that they consider paranormal.
What's up? All right.
The most basic level.
Wait, a poll's already active.
Oh.
Oh, one of my mods already made it. I voted no.
41% is a lot.
I mean, but like, what do they define as like paranormal?
I know. I mean, I made it pretty broad. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that keep stuff. That's the thing. Like, And people have told me like diet versions of things until they trust me, and then they tell me like the real version that's usually more extreme. That happens a lot.
Ghost encounter. I went to sleep super horny and woke up with cum all over me several times. I think there's a ghost sucking my dick.
Bro, don't ask questions.
Okay, 38% says yes, 62% say no.
That's pretty good.
I have a trope, or I guess a Hasanabiism that I routinely mention, which is that 30% of Americans will agree to anything, no matter how insane it is. Like, you can get 30% of Americans to believe and agree to anything, minimum. So,
What's the craziest thing you believe in, you think?
I don't know.
Is there anything that's like fringe where you're like, that you think you're weird for believing in? Like, part of what I am into in doing this is that, like, I think having fringe beliefs got co-opted by the right, sort of, like, to the point where, like, jokes are getting censored on Instagram now, you know, where you can't even, like, literally, like, post funny content because it's, like, they're fact-checking everything. But it got co-opted by the right, and I think it's, like, perfectly healthy to be able to believe in some weird stuff. I think, like, all of this is, like, perfectly normal to believe in and totally fine. But we got to this, like, place where we've gone so far to the opposite, where everything has to be so grounded in what you would, like, define as reality. I think it's just not fun.
I don't
It's not
believe
fun.
every indigenous person is Turkish, okay? I don't believe that. Some.
Nothing else?
I can't think of anything that I think is like, I mean, these people would know.
I've seen UFOs, somebody said.
No, I don't think, I think Epstein being murdered by the government is not a fringe take at all.
I mean, no, I didn't mean to sound like censorship rooting comedy, but I mean, you've seen it, dude. Like Josh Citarella. You should, are you friends with Josh?
I've had him on the broadcast many, many years ago.
Dude, you should, if he's in town, he would be a great guest on this. I love Josh Citarella. Shout out, big shout out to Josh Citarella.
He's a mewing advocate, which I think is like, that I don't agree
He's gotten
with.
too buff.
Yeah, he's getting.
Okay, so you guys, if you don't know
he
Josh
went from
Citarella,
like gym maxing, like covering gym maxers, to becoming a bit of a gym maxer, which scares me a little bit.
For anybody who doesn't know Josh, like, he's an artist who I was a fan of his art before, and he was partnered with Brad Trammell. They did a lot of work together, but then he started kind of studying
Incels.
Politigram, like, you know, and like memes as an expression for like very young politicized people. But then from there, he started to do funnier stuff. And one of them was that he was like studying, I think it got started with like he started making, like, he started ironically looking into incel shit and like gym maxing. But like, I know for a fact he gets like Fulham gum. Is a Turkish gum. Fulham. Oh, he's huge on that.
Yeah, and he does
Fulham, yeah.
he does do mewing, which I think is like kind of crazy.
Well, okay, so what he did, I think it started with he realized that like the Goop powder had the same ingredients as like the Alex Jones like alpha male powder. Like, from both had the exact same ingredients, and I think he was like mixing them and like taking them as like a joke. And then he did this like sort of like art project experiment where he tested all of the alpha male like advice, you know, the fringe.
Yeah, but he started living
advice. Yeah, he did it for a month or two, and he started having results, but he was doing all of the craziest stuff at once. And I was laughing at him because I'm like, bro, if any of this works, like, you're not gonna be able to tell which one did it. And so he was like,
yeah, but like the main thing is like he did just start going to the gym.
No, yeah,
and
that's
hitting
like
the fucking weights, and he got jacked. He is insanely jacked now.
And yeah, he did not stop. The experiment's been long
Can you pull
over.
the trash over here? Yeah, no, he hasn't stopped. He's still doing mewing. Like I said, that was the only thing that I was like, dude, what? Like, you actually think mewing works? Like, here, I'll show you guys, Joshua.
And he was not touching receipts, like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think he started believing.
Oh, another experiment he was doing was like, I mean,
bro, I think he started believing in it. That's what I'm saying.
No, yeah, I mean, I think a lot, he was telling me a lot of it's worked.
Look, so
Josh is also behind.
He used to look like this.
Another Josh experiment was the Mark Fisher memes. Like, he was trying to make Mark Fisher into a meme to try to get people to read it.
Yeah.
And I think that worked, like the capitalist realism
Yeah.
memes. Oh, yeah, he's
torqued now.
He's
It's
torqued.
crazy.
It's insane. This is a nerd. Like,
Yeah.
this is like a skinny
He's like a
nerd.
nerdy art kid that started doing like
Very gentle.
started experimenting with like incel memes and like following the advice, and then literally became this.
Yeah. And I just love everything Josh does. Also, he's been very supportive and helpful along the way of like making this show. In that Washington Post article, they interviewed him and he gave some very insightful thoughts in a way that's much smarter than anything I would have said.
Mewing, for those of you who keep asking, mewing is the idea that like if you chew really strong gum, fulham, it's a Turkish gum that's like flavorless as a matter. Well, it's not flavorless, but it's not sweet.
It tastes like chewed gum.
Yeah, you chew it. If you chew, it's a really strong gum. If you chew that all the time, you'll have a better jawline. That's a lot of incels will self-report in my chat, as a matter of fact, because I'm always chewing gum nonstop every day because I have nicotine gum that I chew all day every day. So a lot of no, mewing is correct tongue posture. No, I thought it was like also the Chad. It's everything that you do. Correct tongue posture and also chewing fucking really strong gum to get like.
Yeah. You're building like these muscles in there. It does work. I mean, if you try, I have the gum too. It tastes terrible, so I didn't really get hooked to it, but
that's not mewing, that's jazzercise.
Josh always said mewing, so I'm going with mewing.
Yeah, I think mewing is like the comprehensive, it's like the overarching fucking, they call everything. How is mewing incel haha? That is literally just correcting your tongue posture.
I mean, this is all like forum. The whole thing is that Josh was taking all of the stuff from like the fringe incel forums and things like that, like the crazy fringe workout stuff. Like, who's that dude?
People also claim it can help with sleep apnea, sinusitis, and other conditions. The idea behind mewing came from the work of British orthodontist John Mew, who is now in his 90s. He and his son, fellow orthodontist Michael Mew, promote a form of orthodontics they call orthotropics that focuses on jaw posture, including retaining the position of the tongue. Britain's General Dental Council recently stripped the elder Mew of his dental license. Ooh, that's...
Sucks for him.
Yeah. But basically what Josh did here is called looks maxing. That is the umbrella term for that, like gym maxing and whatever. Like incels just literally can't do anything normal. They have to unironically turn everything into like a video game where it's like, oh, I'm looks maxing. It's like, no, you're just going to the gym. You're living a healthy lifestyle, okay?
I think I originally brought him up though because I think Josh is an interesting example of like he had a lot of problems with Instagram's like new policies, and Josh was shadow banned for like a year and a half for just like posting art and things like that, just like his research. It ruined his ability to like grow his audience. He was wildly shadow banned, and Brad Trammell was for a while too. I don't know if anybody of you like in the chat is a fan of Brad, but all of them for making like just funny political art and like, or even like reposting content that they're like reporting on. But dude, I think Josh did a lecture. Josh actually got banned on Twitch, I believe.
Oh, I remember.
Because he was doing an art lecture where he was like literally Renaissance paintings.
Yeah, that was
showing
ridiculous.
Renaissance paintings.
No,
It was
that's
like a nude woman.
Because here's the real reason why that happened, okay? First of all, that was ridiculous that Twitch did that. I remember when it happened. The reason is because he has like a very interesting audience of people who like are really into this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those like are fucking incel weirdos, and they mass report like crazy. Like just for fun. They're trolls, you know what I mean? So like half the time they're doing that shit specifically to like watch the world burn or try to turn someone into a lol cow or whatever. So
I love that we have like Josh Buff on the stream. Capture this moment.
This dude seems cool and chill. Don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like this is the beginning of a right-wing pipeline. No, I don't think he's like gonna turn into that.
No
at all.
way.
But I do think that he believes in some like
not Josh.
I do believe that he's like believes in some fringe stuff now. Basically,
Josh is really cool because he's just very open-minded to I don't know. I don't know how to describe him. Like, I think what his thing is that, like, you can't write off everything completely, you know? Like, he did an interesting episode where he was talking about, like, things that Alex Jones was, like, actually, like, right about.
Oh, like frogs turning gay?
Yeah, like, that it was
But they're not gay,
that
they're trans?
Yeah, something like that. And then also just microplastics, the amount of hormone disruptors we have in, like, all of the products. Like, everything we use is, like, hormone disruptors. It's terrible for us. Like, this is just there's objectively bad things in, like, everything we use.
Yeah.
And, like, he did some stuff where he's kind of, like, looking into that and just realizing, like, okay, like,
no, I don't disagree.
People are reporting on things that are not invalid, basically.
I don't disagree with. I mean, okay, Alex Jones was also correct about mass surveillance by the federal government, but, like, you know,
yeah.
But
it's like,
he was like,
it's not Alex Jones defending, but it's like, okay, we shouldn't be so quick to write off everything related to, like, certain topics, you know, because we'll easily, you know, toss in some important things with that.
That's why I say Alex Jones is CIA. Like,
he might be, dude.
If Alex Jones didn't exist, the CIA would create him. It's true the things that it's the true things that make him useful. Exactly, because when someone is talking about, like, 10% truths, like, that no one else is talking about, but 90% psychotic, unhinged shit like interdimensional vampires, vampiric pedophiles that are operating out of a basement of a fucking.
Well, that stuff's true.
You know, well, yeah, that.
Well,
it's just a little embellished,
dude,
right?
Have you heard the This American Life episode about Alex Jones from, like, a couple of years ago?
No.
Oh my God. Has anybody in the chat heard this? I'm surprised that, like, it's not talked about more. Somebody, and I don't remember it enough, maybe somebody could find it and put a link to it in the description, but when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is going to be, like, big news. And then just nobody talked about it. Somebody did this really amazing story about Alex Jones in high school. And it's like the origin story. Like, Alex Jones tells his own origin story, and, like, this person, like, figured out the real one, and it's wild. It's like, you kind of,
what do you
like,
mean his origin story?
I don't remember it enough. But it
wasn't
was, like,
his dad like a dentist for the CIA or something?
He was like a bully. I guess he was like a bully. I think it was that, like, he tells people that he was bullied and, like, had to become a tough guy, but, like, beware the Jabberwocky or the Jabberwock. Was that the episode?
I guess. Alex Jones spread the idea that Sandy Hook was a hoax on his radio show and website for years after the shooting. He's probably the country's most famous conspiracy theorist. He even had Donald Trump on the show. Reporter John Ronson. Oh, John Ronson. No way. Wait, isn't John Ronson the psychopath test guy? Or is that Ron Johnson? No, John Ronson. He is the psychopath test guy. I like that guy. I like him a lot.
Look at the summary again. Because I actually even forget.
That's cool that he did this. I like him a lot.
Everybody should listen. I mean,
and his producer, Lena Mizitzis, originally created a version of the story for Audible. They also produced John's latest series, the long form, The Last Days of August, Never Before Stole. Oh,
it's a really interesting look at Alex Jones when he was growing up, from, like, people that knew him, his childhood friends.
Yeah,
it's wild. I mean, I'm surprised it's not talked about more, but it was a great episode. This book is crazy. With Alex Jones.
John Ronson also wrote Men Who Stare at Goats. I love John Ronson. I'm a fan of a lot. I've read all of his books.
Is also similar to, like, some of the stuff I'm working on here.
Yeah. My biggest issue with the coastal socialite art people delving into politics is that there's a natural shift towards more reactionary ideas as a reflex of the liberal hegemony and just an overall desire to be subversive. I think a lot of people get lost in the sauce of it all and come out the other end full-blown reactionaries and end up adopting super right-wing politics. Okay, this is the person who was upset about this is the person who was originally upset about, like, people making fun of experiences. People making fun of, like, people that like belittle others who have had these, like, you know, once in a lifetime life-changing experiences. But he is right about this. I do think that a lot of people yes, have an overall desire to be subversive. A lot of art people. That's how you arrive at the
Josh, though. He's like,
no, I don't know if he's like that. I'm just saying that but, like, that's how you arrive at the fucking tradcaths and the Catholic converts within, you know, liberal arts PhD the people that live in fucking Brooklyn and, you know, smoke Virginia Slims.
Yeah, and Josh is off the far right or fringe, like, workout routines. Now he's just regularly working out.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, like, a gym rat now. But I think he's off all of the experiments. What else was he doing? I think he was not jerking off. I think he was doing the no fap.
Yeah,
He was
do
drinking
no fap.
like
That
a
was the
certain
other
amount
thing.
of eggs. He would not touch receipts or use plastic of any kind, like avoiding xenoestrogens, basically. That's a big one, like in the fringe workout community, is like xenoestrogens. They say that basically like everything gives you estrogen and prevents your gains.
Yeah, I think that that's dumb. I mean, I think that microplastics is real, but I think that like your exposure to like receipt touching is so marginal, and it's like literally, what is it, fomide or it's just like, I don't think your body is like sucking in receipts enough that you're like turning or you're producing more estrogen as a consequence of that. Microplastics,
Josh
I
went
do
way too
believe in
deep.
though.
It is funny. Yeah, the microplastic stuff is scary. But yeah, I love Josh. I'm actually very happy that we're talking about him so much right now because I just love supporting him. He's like doing really interesting stuff. Also, as long as I'm getting Josh plugs off, he has this really cool thing called Do Not Research. His Discord is like his Twitch is like a mix between like this unofficial college course almost. Like he was a professor. He's stopped being a professor to do this. But he'll like teach these courses almost on Twitch, and then his Discord like formed this art co-op almost, and they've like published a book together. They've like done an art show together. Like his Discord community is like organized enough that they've like done this group show. It's pretty wild. It's called Do Not Research, and I think they got shadow banned too. But
yeah,
but it's really cool. I mean, I don't know. I get stoked every time I see, communities forming online and doing something in the real world.
Yeah. By the way, here's another reason why the estrogen thing is not true. I know, and this is not this is a trans person in the chat is saying it. I've heard other trans people also tell stories about this as well, thinking that like the soy will turn them more feminine. If that was real, like trans people be doing that shit non-fucking stop. As a matter of fact, a lot of trans people, before they get on HRT, unironically try that shit. Kind of traumatic when you think about it, but like I have talked to a bunch of trans people who've told me like they've tried all of those things to try to be feminized.
I don't know that it's like how much it affects workouts, but I do believe that there's a lot of research that there are hormone disruptors in a lot of products, just like as a fact. How much it affects you, I'm not sure, but it sucks we have such an unregulated system. Like, there's a lot of shit that's in our products that is just completely banned in Europe. This is too much conspiracy. This isn't even a conspiracy.
No. The stuff that the stuff that we're talking about with respect to microplastics or like American food.
It's just
American
stuff that
food
sucks.
regulation or lack of regulation is not a conspiracy. I'm telling you what a conspiracy is. Like the idea that you can become forcibly feminized by drinking too much soy is false. That's not real.
Yeah.
I also don't believe that you can like you can get cancer if you're like constantly licking your fingers and touching receipts and shit over the course of like a very long period of time. If you're doing it for like 4 or 5, 6 years, maybe. But even then it's like the exposure needs to be incredibly fucking high, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a bunch of chemicals in receipts and everything else that could harm you, certainly. But even then it's unique. But I don't think you can like touch a receipt one time and then you fucking literally become feminized. Like I don't think that that's how that works.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to think about this stuff either way. And that's the same with the paranormal shit. It's like thinking and like having an imagination and thinking outside of the box is good for the brain. Like it's good to be considering. I mean, there's definitely certain things that probably aren't good to dive down into, but I think there's like some healthy exploration to be doing, especially after the last few years we lived through. We're completely fucked.
I think I've eaten a receipt before. It's too late. You're done. The receipt
gas
thing was
station
true.
cashier here.
If the receipt thing was true, there would be no yeah.
Yeah, but post a gains pic. Let's see. Is it affecting the gains?
Favor the people in the back. Isoflavone and soy does not disrupt your endocrine system. Yeah, I don't know. I think
I'm not
a lot
talking
of that,
about soy. But
I think a lot of that came from 4chan. A bunch of that shit came from 4chan. All right. Well,
I'm not the expert on that either way. I think like it was just funny, Josh experimenting with it. I'm not
Yeah.
even like pilled on that stuff, to be clear.
Okay. Well, Jack,
What do you think?
well, what I think is the top of the hour is upon us once again, and I'm gonna run an ad, and then I'm probably gonna get back to some news coverage and
Yeah, I
play
should probably take off soon too.
and go do some war crimes on Call of Duty.
Oh, please. Hey, I want to say thank you so much for. Are they hearing me right now? Or is there an ad?
No, I haven't run it yet.
Okay.
Plus, most people are subscribed. I have.
Dude, thank you guys for having me. I hope you don't. I know I probably sound crazy, but that's only because I'm in
your
the middle
third
of
eye
making
is
this
open.
podcast and my third eye open. But no, I'm not. I'm in pilled mode right now. Otherwise, I'm pretty normal. Thank you for having me, though. Thanks for getting weird.
Yeah, no, this was great. This was wonderful. Where can people find you? Otherworld Pod. Yeah,
at
but
Otherworld
still.
Pod. Yeah, but still. My Instagram is at Versace Tamagotchi.
I think you had an episode with BB No Money as well.
He was just on the pod. He was cool.
Yeah, he's the man. Love him.
Was he on here?
Yeah, he was here. I had him on my pod
He
as
was,
well. I've had him on the
he
stream
was
as well.
very candid and
Yeah.
like nice, No,
No,
for a
he's-
person that we weren't friends with before, it's always interesting meeting somebody that's like, fairly famous, just seeing how they behave.
No,
he
he's
was
not. Yeah,
super chill, the nicest dude. So
he's not a weird guy at all.
no, shout out to BB No Money.
All right. Well,
Yo, thanks for
a
having
lot,
me,
Jack.
Hasan. Enjoy the pumpkin.
All right, I will carve yet another one of these bad boys.
Look at that.
I'm
A
so
lot of
good.
warts.
I'm so
Very
good
good.
at fucking. Wait, are they? Is it? It's good. I like the handle of this one.
I know, right? It's a very classic looking.
It's a good one. It's just I wish it wasn't so green. Why is it so green?
I like the green. I picked that on purpose for you.
Oh, okay.
I didn't just randomly.
Oh, you picked a good one.
I picked this on purpose for you, but I guess I picked wrong.
No, I it's fine. Green is cool. I've just never. This is the first time I ever carved a pumpkin like this week.
I want to go see it now.
It's
Is it
outside.
good? What did you carve?
I just carved a face. It wasn't like
Classic,
that crazy.
classic
Yeah,
mode? That's good.
Scary face.
I'm sure somebody will carve a pumpkin for you if it hasn't been done already.
The green will ripen away. Oh, okay. That means it's like okay.
See, I actually knew that, and I was planning ahead.
Jack got it from a pumpkin gnome. Be careful. Oh no.
I got it from a real pumpkin patch in Solvang, California. Pumpkins
yeah.
were still on the vine.
Love that.
Cutting them off the vine. Guys, thank you for having me. Listen to Otherworld and be on the lookout. I have some wild stuff coming up. We'll see.
All right.
If I ever disappear, you'll know why.
Now we know.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on record. Investigate me if I ever disappear.
All right, we'll do.
Yo, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I gotta open the door for you because it's broken at this moment. Yeah, no problem. Hold on. All right, chat. I'm gonna run the 1 minute ad break here. Let me fix this up real quick, and I'm gonna get Jack out of here. On. There it is. Okay. Alex Jones makes sense if you think about him as a gnome. Yeah, I agree. Alex Jones just makes sense. Okay, let me.